When a few months into the global anomaly outbreak, a man named Jin Yeop found himself clinging to the back of a survivor convoy on a bicycle, riding toward a city the radio just declared a no man's land. Then his hand touched stolen blanket. Instantly an upgrade system woke up, paid in killing points 300. Loaned to start. By the 6th day, he spent 1,000 points to put a crossbow bolt through a traitor's throat. That weak, ordinary guy at the back of the line, gone. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit that like button. Now, let's begin. To understand, we must go back to the day everything went wrong. Still wrong, the radio in the lead truck spits static, then a voice cuts through, announcing the current time as 10:23 in the morning, the 13th of October 2030, warning that this might be the last broadcast from his station. He says Sango has fallen and become a no man's land, warning survivors not to go near the city under any circumstance, and that they must never stare at the blood moon for more than 3 seconds, never greet shadows under streetlights, and never believe a dead loved one has come back. Still, he says humanity's torch will never go out. Then static eats his voice, dead silence, cold dread runs creeps over Jin Yeop as he listens, spreading through the rest of the convoy. Sango was one of the greatest super cities in the world, and now it's a forbidden zone for humans. A few months ago, the global anomaly outbreak began, and entire small nations collapsed in days. Standard weapons are a complete joke against these entities. They can't be killed, or rather, they are incredibly difficult to defeat. Jin Yeop escaped from Gangshoen and joined this desperate survivor convoy. Hoping to reach a rumored safe zone in Sangho, he rides at the very back on a vintage bicycle, his whole life packed into a single bundle strapped to the rear seat, and his reason for riding a bike is simple. He tried smashing a window once, but without keys, he couldn't start the engine. He isn't the kind of guy who can just pull 2 wires together and roar away like some movie hero. Nobody prepared for the end of the world by learning how to hotwire cars. Even this old bike was a lucky last-minute find. The convoy is a chaotic mix of modified off-road trucks, buses, and motorcycles. Even a few electric scooters. There are plenty of bicycles here, too, because a bicycle can carry much more than a man on foot, and they all live by 2 iron rules. Rule number 1, never fall behind. Rule number 2 is to stockpile every single supply. The first rule always beats the second because without supplies, someone might pity you and share, but if you lag behind, only death is waiting. Most of them fled Gangshoen, pinning their hopes on Sangho as a massive, protected super city. Everyone believed the place would have some answer to these anomalies. Now that the radio has spoken, those small sparks of hope in everyone's eyes turn gray and dead. Sobs ripple through the convoy. Millions of people once lived there. Now the line moves on. Under an unspeakable heavy dread, night falls and they camp. The blood moon rises, quietly hanging over the treetops and casting a bloody veil over the world. As an eerie aura settles across the land, the survivors swallow their crying, terrified of waking whatever lives in the dark. Night is when anomalies are most active. Distant ruins echo with faint cries for help, voices begging them to come rescue them. But every survivor here knows that cheap trick anomalies use. Bait like that constantly. He grabs his pack off the backseat, digging out his old camping pot, a portable stove, and half a bottle of mineral water. The pot and stove came off the escape route, and so did the hand crossbow on his waist. In an apocalypse like this, humans are scarier than anomalies. He tears open a packet of instant noodles, dumps them right in, pours the water, and lights the flame. Blue flames lick the pot, the water starts to bubble, and after a second he adds a sausage and stops there. This is his last can of gas, and once it is gone, hot meals become a memory. Steam climbs out of the pot, and the scent of instant noodles spreads, sending him into deep thought. Sang-ho has fallen. What is he supposed to do next? He remembers a post he saw online before the outbreak. Some madman insisting anomalies cannot be killed, only sequence transcendence can deal with them, and he dismissed it as nonsense at the time. Then the outbreak hit, and he put a crossbow bolt through an anomaly with 0 effect. Sequence transcendence. The online post said there were many paths to awakening one. Some woke up to a sequence with absolutely no warning at all. Others took a sequence injection, and the post said there were hundreds of sequences, every one of them different. He admits he is curious. What did these abilities even look like? The smell of noodles drifts out of the pot, and he used to hate instant noodles. Tonight, a bowl of them is a gift, and most of the Survivors around him do not even have that. They smell his pot and swallow. Hard greed waking in their eyes. If his crossbow was not on his lap, somebody would already be trying to take it. Some of these people have not eaten in a full day. The warm food goes down incredibly fast, and that crossbow never leaves his grip. The whole time washing dishes is a luxury. He needs water first. Every drop counts. He lights the last cigarette in his pack, crushing the empty wrapper into a ball and throwing it aside. In this brutal world, cigarettes are scarce too. And every one smoked is one fewer waiting. The little flame outlines his face, and the smoke smooths some of the anxiety out of his chest. He smokes it down to a burnt taste and tosses it. He digs out the blanket he lifted from a villa earlier. The moment his hand touches it, a line of text appears in his mind. The system tells him upgrading the blanket will cost 129 killing points, and asks whether he wants to proceed. Upgrade. A quarter of an hour later, he figures out what just landed on him. What woke up inside him is not a sequence ability at all. It is an upgrade system. As long as he wants it, any item he touches can be upgraded. The blanket, the crossbow, even the portable stove he just cooked on, and the only requirement is killing points. Given enough of them, he could easily turn this blanket into a magic carpet, but the joy drains right out of him, and he has 0 killing points. Then a second line of text comes through. The system tells him that since he is a first-time user, it can lend him 300 killing points due in 1 month, and he confirms without thinking. In this apocalypse, he could be dead tomorrow, and not borrowing now would be stupid. With 300 points loaded, he looks at his bicycle. Right now, this bicycle is his single most important asset. Upgrading it is the only choice that makes sense. He has watched the people who fell behind, and they never came back, and that's the convoy's first iron rule. Jin Yeop tells the system to spend everything on the bicycle, and the system asks him to confirm, using all 300 killing points on it. He confirms. An hourglass appears over the bicycle, counting down 5 hours, and the night is dead silent all around. With humanity quiet, the stars look thicker than he ever remembers. If not for the sobs scattered around him, he could almost believe the world never changed, and the horizon shows the first faint gray of dawn when a system notification wakes him. The upgrade is complete. Under the new light, he sees his 28-inch bicycle has changed, and the 2 wheels are now 3. The tires are fatter, the treads aggressive, and the spokes thicker. A cargo bed is now mounted behind the saddle. The 28-inch bike is now a tricycle. He tests it. It rides even easier than the old one. The system even installed a labor-saving device. He runs a hand over the frame, confirming it. Voices call out before he is even off the saddle, asking Jin Yeop where he got that bike and if he went out collecting supplies last night. They call him too bold, muttering that the bike is no worse than those cars. The whole convoy watches him, envy and jealousy on every face. Any supplies are precious now, making a vehicle like this something truly special. And the best part is it needs no gasoline. Plenty of people joined this convoy in cars, only to abandon them by the roadside once their fuel ran dry. Only the 2 modified off-road vehicles up front still have gas. The drivers up they are said to be powerful, especially a young girl carrying a sword. Woman in tight yoga pants struts over. She asks to sit in his cargo bed, claiming her legs have been hurting for days, rubbing her calves to get his attention. Every man within 10 meters swallows hard. She was rescued during a supply run and has had men fawning over her ever since. She tried getting into the off-roads but got rejected. Now his tricycle is her second choice. He flatly refuses. Her face turns ugly fast. Before the apocalypse, she was pretty, and she has not been told no in a very long time, surviving on her looks since the outbreak began. She never expected a flat rejection from him. Suddenly, a burly man steps in, calling out that she can ride on his bike instead. His backseat has a cushion, promising a comfortable ride, and her face brightens. She gives him one fierce glare. She struts over like a proud princess to brother Gang, a beefy fitness instructor before the outbreak, all muscle. He had a motorcycle, but after running it dry, he switched to a bicycle. The woman sits on brother Gang's backseat, instantly complaining that his bike is too bumpy, asking why he cannot get a 4-wheeled vehicle instead. Brother Gang just chuckles and starts bragging about how cars are easy to find but a total pain to fuel or charge. Truth is he tried starting several abandoned cars before and failed. The woman rolls her eyes, telling him if he cannot handle a car, he should at Least get a tricycle like Jin Yeop has. Then she leans closer to brother Gang's ear, whispering that they should just snatch his tricycle, but brother Gang sees the crossbow on his waist and hesitates, warning her he is not someone to mess with, especially because of that weapon. The woman just snorts. He is too gutless. Jin Yeop hangs the crossbow on his waist and tosses his pack into the cargo bed. The pack barely fit on his old backseat, but now it has plenty of room. He easily keeps up. The convoy moves much faster today, rolling forward with real urgency. Thanks to his modified ride, his legs barely do any work while other cyclists struggle. They are dripping sweat while he just cruises. Nearby, brother Gang pedals like a drowning man. His back is completely soaked. The woman in yoga pants behind him glares right at him. Someone shouts that there are houses ahead, shattering the quiet. The news hits the convoy like a heavy stone. Gaunt faces suddenly look up. Eyes fill with greed, hope, and a hint of dread. He looks up and spots houses. Rows of buildings line the road. It is a small town, which means desperately needed supplies. Most of the group is running on empty, and even his own stash is low. Ever since the outbreak, these towns are nothing but deadly forbidden zones. Songho is completely out of the question. Nobody here wants to face those monsters again. If it were night, they would steer clear, but daytime changes everything. Daylight offers a brief window. Those anomalies usually avoid the sun. This is their chance. Up front, the off-road vehicles accelerate. He hooks his crossbow to his waist, stands on his pedals, and speeds up. He leaves the struggling cyclists behind. Bitter, envious glares burn into his back. Some curse him, some even wish death upon him out of spite. A few worry about potential anomalies ahead, but others quickly dismiss them. Without food, they starve tonight. Boldness is the only way to survive. It is first come, first served. The convoy surges forward. Even the most exhausted survivors on foot find a sudden burst of energy. But drawing closer, a chilling pressure rolls out, cooling their initial excitement. The town sits like a sleeping predator. Even in broad daylight, it feels wrong. An icy winter chill hangs in the air. Suddenly, the lead vehicle slams its brakes. Screeching tires leave black skid marks as others pile up behind. Roaring engines die down instantly. A heavy, suffocating silence drops over them. He rolls up behind them. What he sees next is absolute nightmare fuel. His stomach twists into a tight knot, and cold dread crawls up his spine. A massive archway looms over the entrance, its faded paint barely readable. The welcoming sign for Hung Kwa Town fades into a desolate, ghostly orange. Past the archway, a long street stretches out. It is only 3 in the afternoon. Yet the road ahead looks completely swallowed by a dark, endless abyss. Shops line both sides under grim black and white signs. Weeds crack through the pavement. The walls are moldy and billboards hang in shreds. It is only months since the outbreak, yet this place looks completely abandoned for decades. A wet, rotten stench drifts over them. Anyone with half a brain can see something is wrong. With Hung Kwa Town, terrified survivors start backing away, their faces turning pale. His own expression is grim. He slowly unclips the crossbow from his waist. It is useless against anomalies, but holding it brings a small bit of comfort. Suddenly, a rough voice cuts through, telling everyone to stop being so cowardly. He is heading in first. The crowd turns to see a massive man squeeze out of a modified off-road vehicle, standing 2 meters tall and weighing 660 pounds. His arms are as thick as a normal man's waist. Only now does he realize how huge this man is. The giant charges like an elephant toward the distant supermarket. Sign, a voice from inside the vehicle screams after him, calling him a massive fool. Telling them to wait is useless, as the off-road vehicle revs up and tears off. The rest trade glances before another off-road vehicle quickly joins the chase. An old man starts up his little electric scooter and putters right after them. He barks at the youth, promising they will only watch him eat well. Angry curses fly as faces flush with rage, and many scramble to follow. He rolls his tricycle after them, but avoids the giant supermarket in town. Going that deep is a death sentence. He chooses a much safer target. The small shops along the street have fewer supplies, but they offer safety. The risk is lower, and the afternoon sun still hits the storefronts. Veterans say that escaping into the sunlight forces an anomaly to stop chasing. A few others have the same plan, so he heads to a small shop. Through the glass, he can see packs of cigarettes stacked in the counter. Shelves of snacks sit waiting just beyond it in the dark interior. It is not a massive supermarket haul, but it is enough for him. He looks around for a brick, but the lock is already decayed. The glass door creaks open, its hinges are ready to fall off. He peers inside as the sunlight reaches in to light up the front. But the back remains dark. He raises his crossbow and steps inside. Total silence, no movement. He pulls his backpack around to his front. He hangs his weapon on his hip and starts raiding the food shelves. Food takes absolute priority over tobacco when starvation is the alternative. The shelves are bare. Small country shops are nothing like city stores. This place was likely on its last legs before the outbreak began. Spicy strips, instant noodles, jelly, he stuffs them all inside. The saving sunlight is slowly sliding away across the dusty floor. He clears the shelves, packing the bag 2/3 full before crushing it down. Only then does he turn to the cigarette case behind the counter. He sweeps them all in, grabbing premium brands and some Lotus packs. The display cabinets under the counter are quickly emptied out as well. He grabs 2 bottles of liquor, and then a freezing shiver hits. It is the exact same chill he felt back in Gangsong. Any survivor who has made it this far knows what that means. A face colder than a 3-day-old corpse presses against his head. The hairs on his arms stand up. A foul, damp stench fills the air. Goosebumps run down his spine. He slowly, painfully turns his head around. It is a child, 7 or 8 years old, right by his face. Pale skin, fake pink blush, and facial features warped into an eerie smile. The entire entity looks like it is made of folded white paper. It squats like a monkey in the dark, watching him with curiosity. Between them, a sharp line of shadow divides the light and dark. There is no telling how long the paper creature has been crouching there. Or if it just appeared, panic strikes and he stumbles backward. He knocks the counter over and lunges, but the glass door is blocked. Someone has barred it from the outside with a thick wooden stick. He peers through the glass, spotting a man and woman by his tricycle. He recognizes both of them, especially the woman in the yoga pants, the one he had previously rejected. There she is, standing next to Brother Gang, the fitness trainer. Soon they feel his cold gaze. Just as the smug woman is about to gloat, she catches sight of something terrifying. A pale child looms in the darkness right behind him. Panic floods her face and she shoves. Brother Gang urging him to run. Suddenly, a creepy giggle echoes from the pitch-black shadows. The voice sings a bizarre nursery rhyme about a moon goddess shining down on a coffin. The little brother weeps, begging for candy. The sound drifts through the air, faint and hollow. It feels distant, yet right beside him. This is none other than the legendary paper-crying child. The song talks about the moon goddess, referring to an ancient folklore from the old southern country. Back then, people believed the moon protected children, but here, the bed is a literal coffin. Candy was once a luxury, often given as a final comfort to grieving souls at a child's funeral. He had actually crossed paths with one of these weeping paper children once back in Gangseong. Running into another one here in Hamhua town makes his skin crawl, shivers run down his spine. Wasting no time, he raises his crossbow and fires. The bolt tears clean through the entity. It passes right through the ghostly form, leaving him incredibly frustrated and ready to curse. The creature simply giggles and repeats the song, mockingly demanding that he give it some candy. Meanwhile, those 2 thieves had been watching him closely through the glass while he was scavenging inside. They only had a single bicycle and a backpack, even if they pillaged the entire store. They could never carry as much loot as his massive tricycle, so they made their move. The moment he stepped inside, they softly shut the door and jammed the handle with a wooden stick. He was too busy sweeping the shelves to notice their quiet, cowardly betrayal in that moment. If he had caught them, they would already have crossbow bolts buried in their skulls. Outside, Brother Gang nervously mutters that pulling this stunt will make a deadly enemy of him. The woman sneers, calling him a coward and asking why he is so terrified of one guy. She points out that his tricycle is way better than their bicycle, since he went inside. To scavenge alone, he can hardly blame them if his ride suddenly vanishes in the chaos. Even if he survives and asks questions, they will just play dumb and deny everything. Besides, she cheerfully points out that he might not even make it out alive. She laughs, saying that before the apocalypse, she would not have taken that rusty 3-wheeler for free. Greed eventually wins and Brother Gang gives in. The thrill of scoring this valuable ride quickly overshadows his sheer terror of him, despite knowing how incredibly dangerous the man is. Stroking the handlebars, he marvels at their luck, noting that this thing is practically a car. No gas needed, no charging required, but then a shelf inside is suddenly knocked over. Looking through the window, they lock eyes with his chillingly calm, completely emotionless face. That cold silence terrifies them. A sudden shiver runs through both of their bodies. He stands bathed in the light, while a tiny, creepy figure looms in the darkness behind him. Completely rattled by his intense stare, the panicked woman urges Brother Gang to move faster. Brother Gang mounts the tricycle, stands on the pedals, and is amazed at how smoothly it glides. Within seconds, they vanish. There is a reason he fears him so deeply. He had escaped from Gangseong alongside him, witnessing his ruthlessness firsthand during their escape. When a petty thug, who had spent the whole time calling him Brother Yeop like an old friend, became a useless liability, he mercilessly broke the man's legs and tossed him to the monster. Sure, the thug was scum, but Brother Gang has never forgotten the pure coldness of that moment. He knows the friendly facade is just an act on the surface. Beneath that playful exterior lies a true monster, if only that foolish woman knew. If that yoga pants woman hadn't pushed him, he never would have crossed Chen Yi. She promised to consider being his girlfriend if he kept her safe, and that empty promise got him worked up enough to do something stupid. Now, watching Chen Yi through the glass, he is starting to regret it. Chen Yi watches his tricycle vanish without a word, but the anomaly lurking in the dark is the bigger problem in front of him. The glass door is held shut by a simple wooden stick through the handle. Sometimes a door like this is hard to kick down, but sometimes it shatters with a light touch. Behind him, the child babbles, demanding candy, give me candy, and he can feel the chilling cold at his back. If he weren't in the strip of sunlight from the glass and the anomaly weren't holding back, he would already be dead. No second chances. After all, an anomaly against an ordinary human means instant death. The sun is setting. In the west, his safe refuge is shrinking, and the distance between them is less than a meter. Soon, the entire shop falls to shadow. He looks around for a tool, finds nothing, and grits his teeth. He lifts his leg to kick the glass door, making it rattle violently as the hinges scream. He kicks again, and the door shatters on the threshold. He rushes out, and the afternoon sun hits him, driving the chill off. For a second, he is back in the human world, and he glances back into the dark. The pale child is standing in the gloom. Two cold blushes on its cheeks, eyes full of venom, singing about the moon goddess shining on the coffin bed, and the little brother crying for candy. He is in the sun now, completely unafraid. He slings his pack and chases the tricycle. Without looking back, Brother Gang and that yoga pants woman are heading for the big supermarket. Chen Yi had planned to stay clear of going that deep, but his tricycle doesn't give him a choice. The 4 p.m. sun is sliding down, and he has to grab it back before dark. If he can pick up some supplies on the way, even better. The street is filling with shadows, and he can feel pairs of eyes hidden in the darkness. Hunghua Town, woken up by them, is starting to stir. While they pedal toward the supermarket, the yoga pants woman keeps lecturing Brother Gang. She tells him she just saw Chen Yi come out and slaps his head when he gets nervous. She reminds him he is so much bigger than Chen Yi and asks why he is such a coward, whether Chen Yi can really snatch the tricycle back, whether he will really kill him with the convoy watching, whether even in the apocalypse a man can just kill people on a whim. Brother Gang stammers that Chen Yi hasn't killed anyone yet. She rolls her eyes and demands what he is so scared of, then warns him that if he stays this gutless, she won't be his girlfriend. Inside, though, she is also weighing her options. She had Brother Gang pegged as her best target before Chen Yi showed up. Now, Brother Gang feels less appealing, and Chen Yi has never even looked at her. She has decided that if he would just curry favor, she would ditch Brother Gang in a heartbeat. She would even consider returning the tricycle, and she's angry that he has never given her the time of day. Brother Gang asks where they are going now. The yoga pants woman snaps that they are going to the supermarket to grab supplies. Does he want to starve her to death? The supermarket parking lot has several cars parked outside. Modified off-roads, sedans, even a bus. Chen Yi recognizes all of them from the convoy, meaning the whole vehicle owning class came for the exact same target, 2 off-roads. He noticed earlier that those 2 kept heading further in, searching for a gas station. Ever since the gang zone, he has seen countless luxury cars abandoned roadside, all bone dry. That is the reality. Life is no movie. His tricycle sits right at the supermarket entrance, cargo holds still packed with gear from when he cleared his backpack. Those 2 went inside. Talk about a lucky break. The mall is massive, and the 4 p.m. sunlight only reaches a small patch near the entrance. Everything else fades to pitch black. With this many people inside, it should be loud. Instead, it is dead silent. He decides to try his luck along the front aisles. He empties his pack into the cargo hold, straps it back on, and crouches low. He slips toward the entrance, crossbow raised. At the first sign of trouble, he runs. Inside, the place is massive, way bigger than expected. The front shelves are completely bare. Any remaining goods are buried much deeper inside. A few survivors are quietly sweeping items into their bags. It is not those two who stole his tricycle. He has no beef with them. Besides, there is plenty to go around. He slows his pace and creeps deeper toward the food section. Other scavengers are already crouched there, the exact second they spot him. They press their fingers to their lips before he can even ask why. The hairs on his neck stand on end. That awful feeling is back. Up ahead, a tall girl drifts between aisles, muttering. Standard shelves are 2.2 meters. Yet her head towers half a body length above them. She is over 3 meters tall. No human is built like that. This can only be one thing, an anomaly. Her loose hair completely shrouds her face. That white dress hangs off her like a puppet. In her hand, she grips massive scissors that open and close with a terrifying metallic snip. She mutters to herself, asking where they are hiding, begging them to play. No wonder the other survivors were terrified into silence. A single drop of sweat rolls down his forehead. He just barely escaped that creepy paper-crying child. Now he is facing a white-clothed scissor woman. His heart beats wildly. The towering, white-clothed scissor woman rounds the end of a nearby shelf. She turns slowly. He ducks down, quietly sliding to the opposite side of the aisle. Only then does he realize how many survivors are hiding in this food section. The yoga pants woman and brother gang are absent, but the burly giant is here. His massive frame is curled into a tight, ridiculous ball, face frozen in panic. Even this mountain of a man is terrified. What chance do the rest of them have? Suddenly, the white-clothed scissor woman pauses. She seems to sense something. Her head, completely shrouded in tangled hair, snaps directly toward his hiding spot. Two glowing crimson eyes burn through the darkness. Everyone in the aisle completely freezes. The sudden tension is suffocating. It is like they are paralyzed by pure fear. Seconds stretch into painful eternity. If she spots even one of them, they are dead. Fortunately, she resumes her mechanical stride. Everyone lets out a quiet, trembling breath. Other survivors begin trailing her, playing the absolute worst game of hide and seek. Realizing this cannot last, he quietly slips a tub of beef noodles into his bag. The other survivors see him and immediately follow suit. Snakeskin bags, backpacks, whatever they have, they start stuffing them full. Eyes glued to the scissor woman, he follows closely behind. Everyone here has survived long enough to move like ghosts. Then he bumps into Chenyi. Stares at the back of the survivor ahead. Everyone freezes, their eyes filled with terror. Right in front of them, an 8-year-old anomaly child blocks the path. White skin like a 3-day corpse, an abnormal flush, and resentful eyes. The paper-crying child has followed them inside. Suddenly, a scream breaks the silence, and that screech wakes up every other anomaly in the dark. The 3-meter white-clothed scissor woman cranks her head toward them. A chill rolls over Chenyi, his limbs go entirely numb. The giant scissors click as she sings of a dark moon goddess and a coffin bed and a little brother waiting for candy. The white-clothed scissor woman strides toward them, knocking shelves aside. She only wants to play. Chenyi grabs his pack and spins to flee, but before he can even pivot, he sees two survivors right ahead, cut clean in half by those giant scissors. Their upper torsos hit the floor, still clawing desperately at the ground with their arms as blood pools. The white-clothed scissor woman laughs maniacally about how much fun they are having. Raising her blades again, another survivor in a suit and gold-rimmed glasses is instantly snipped in half. A roar of absolute fury erupts, filling the entire supermarket with a violent aura. Chenyi watches the 2-meter muscular giant inflate like a balloon, his body swelling into a 3-meter monster of iron-corded muscle. His presence matches the terrifying white-clothed scissor woman, a true sequence transcendent. And let me tell you, the guy looks absolutely terrifying. Back when Chenyi escaped Gang's End, rumors said anomalies cannot be killed, only sequence transcendence can ever hope to stand against them. They are humanity's absolute last hope. Along the convoy road, people talked about this constantly. Chenyi never expected one to be right in their convoy, though a 2-meter giant already looked bizarre among regular people. Now, that giant has morphed into a 3-meter devil-muscled titan. Honestly, there is no other way to describe this absolute madness. The two giants clash directly in the food aisle. turning the whole section into a brutal battleground. Only now does Chen Yi understand why the Transcendent was cowering in terror before the white-clothed scissor woman, the devil-muscled man. Roars and swings a heavy punch, but she catches his fist with one bare hand. A strike like that would turn any normal person into red mist, but her dried corpse frame holds incomprehensible strength. She effortlessly squeezes his fist like dough. Watching the overwhelming pressure, Chen Yi knows this is going to end very badly. The muscular titan's face twists in agony, his body buckling under her mocking sneer. Acting on pure instinct in that desperate moment, Chen Yi raises his crossbow and fires a bolt straight at her face beneath her long hair. The steel shaft buries deep into her locks without doing any damage. She slowly turns to lock eyes with him, sending a freezing shiver down his spine. The titan swings his other fist, slamming it into her face and driving the bolt even deeper. Glowing system notification flashes before Chen Yi, stating that he attacked the anomaly and earned 200 slaughter points, but he has absolutely no time to celebrate. The devil-muscled man's massive punch did absolutely nothing to her. Her body does not even sway. With a twitch of her thin arm, the giant goes flying backward, smashing through shelves in a violent crash. This is what an anomaly truly is. The Transcendent, humanity's supposed miracle, is nothing but a helpless ragdoll in her hands. In just a few months, humanity has been completely displaced. Cities and turned survivors into nomads, helpless casualties of this massive disaster. The giant bellows that he will tear this place apart, charging from the fallen shelves as his massive body leaps and charges back into her. A faint, bloody aura clings to him. His vitality is far more than Chen Yi expected, tipping the scale in Chen Yi's mind back toward this big fool. Even now he is unhurt. A sequence. Transcendent really is something else. If this big fool does not run after this, he has a screw loose. If that fool will not run, Chen Yi will. He never thought running was shameful. Even someone as legendary as Han Roma would run for his life when facing a monster like this. While the big fool and the white-clad scissor woman are locked together, Chen Yi will escape, as long as he reaches sunlight. The anomalies will not pursue him. He slings his pack and runs like hell. Familiar little voice catches up to his ear, singing about the moon goddess and the coffin bed and the little brother crying for candy, and his ankle suddenly locks up. He looks down and the pale child is grinning at him, eyes shining, wanting candy, and his steps freeze, and honestly, it looks like he is done for. Then he spots candy scattered all over the floor among the fallen shelves, and he scoops up a handful to offer, telling the paper-crying child to take the candy. It freezes, surprised that he can actually produce candy, looking like it does not want to take it, but some rule compels it to, and the pale little hand lets go of his calf and reaches out. He takes the chance and bolts for the supermarket entrance. Survivors are screaming all around him, and he glances back. And the paper-crying child is peeling a wrapper. The devil-muscled man has been knocked flying again, but he is already getting up and charging the white-clad scissor woman, acting like an unkillable cockroach. Maybe this sequence Transcendent is not useless after all, or maybe that white-clad scissor woman is just that strong. The heavy pressure in his chest eases, knowing he is safe. For now, scanning the floor, he pulls 2 big bags from the collapsed shelves and runs for the exit. Behind him, the giggles drift in and out, broken by the devil-muscled man's roars, and he bursts out the front door in one long breath, standing in the sun again. He feels like he has returned from the underworld. Inside, the screams keep coming, survivors begging for help, crying that they do not want to die. Survivors are running as shadowy figures in the dark drag some of them back. Every anomaly in Manhwa town has been drawn here by the noise. A column of sunlight at the doorway is the only thing keeping them inside. They claw at him from the dark, their twisted shapes impossible to make out. He gasps for air, his lungs feeling like they will explode. Sweat sticks his hair to his face as he drops into his cargo bed and tosses the 2 bags in. The old bicycle could not have held even a tenth of this. A very unfriendly female voice cuts in, asking why he is in their cart, demanding that he get down. He slowly turns. The yoga pants woman and her brother gang are not far off, each carrying 2 packages. And he spots a side door he had not noticed. Those 2 are not as stupid as he thought. They found a side door, slipping in and out without taking the front. Talk about luck, but too bad for them. Those bags belong to him now. The yoga pants woman demands to know what he wants, accusing him of trying to steal their cart. She yells that they are not afraid of him, demanding he get out of their cart. He expects her to let it slide. Silent, he lifts the crossbow. Brother. Gang panics, begging to talk things out, but the yoga pants woman calls. Him gutless, fully believing he cannot do a thing, but as she speaks, a bolt cuts across her vision, punching straight through Brother Gang's throat. His eyes go wide, the package drops. Clutching his bleeding neck, he stares in utter disbelief. Blood sprays across her face. She freezes as if petrified. She shakes like a sieve, not daring to move, as a puddle forms at her feet. She tries to speak, only stuttering a terrified "you, just you." The apocalypse came too fast for people like her to learn its brutal rules, and he shot Brother Gang first because he was the bigger threat, a coward. But in a real fight, his odds were never zero. Suddenly, text flashes before him, telling him he killed his enemy and gained 1,000 killing points. He has no time to look, quickly cocking the weapon again. Suddenly, she screams and runs, suddenly far more afraid of him than the anomalies. His next bolt embeds in the wall, clattering down, but she has already gone through the door. Then a second scream. Her scream echoes from inside. She stumbles back through the door, all arrogance gone, her face pale with terror. Crying hysterically, right behind her, a ragged figure grips her hair tightly in its hand. Just as she is about to reach the saving light, the figure drags her back. She begs him to save her, crying that she was wrong, that she is useful and wants to live, crying out that she has children at home. She calls him heartless, but the dark figure drags her in regardless, slow and unhurried. He steps back into the sun, and her pleas mean absolutely nothing to him. Talk about cold-hearted. That drag mark is the last trace of her. Only then does he realize he is drenched in a cold sweat, and he throws the bags into his cart. Other survivors are scrambling out, packing up, no one speaking of justice. The whole scene is panic, and no one notices them. He stands up, pedaling away, but he remembers to grab the 2 packages dropped by Brother Gang and the yoga pants woman, tossing them right into the cart. 2 humans have never defeated an anomaly since the outbreak. They cannot be killed. Only sequence transcendence can deal with them, but everything he just watched has cast a heavy shadow across his mind. That muscled devil man was undeniably strong, yet he still could not handle the scissor-wielding woman in white. He was like a mere child against her. He pedals the tricycle as hard as he can toward the gate. The sun is sinking rapidly west, and the buildings have already thrown dark shadows across 4/5 of the street. Out of the corner of his eye, he spots those terrifying pink and black shapes standing in the dark, glaring. Everyone is racing the clock. A figure suddenly flashes across a rooftop, and he catches a quick glance. It is a young girl with a sword on her back, moving like a legendary master, stepping lightly across the billboards lining the street, gliding against the panicked crowd like a gust of wind. She heads straight for the supermarket behind them. Another sequence transcendent. Why are there so many in this convoy? No time to wonder. He is already passing through. The husbands and little brothers desperately search for anyone who might return. This tense crowd is mostly desperate women, with barely any elderly folks or small children. In an apocalypse, the weak lack stamina and get caught first. Healthy adult women survive better, being only slightly weaker than men. Desperate crowds press around him with endless questions, but he just clutches his crossbow. He ignores them, pushes his way out, and spots a man leaving the lead vehicle. The driver wears a loose hoodie and joggers, but his feet are completely bare. His face is deathly cold as he kneels, scoops up dirt, and tastes it. Tasting the dirt like a chef sampling soup, his face suddenly drops. He commands everyone to move fast. If they do not leave now, they die. And right on cue, everyone frantically scrambles back to their vehicles. Danger is coming. When someone asks about Nana and Iron Lion, he barks not to worry. He insists they will catch up, demanding everyone stop wasting precious time. As the lead vehicles roll out, the remaining survivors immediately catch the hint. It is past 5 p.m. Once night falls, the anomalies will kill them all. Total panic erupts, and a desperate woman screams that her husband is left behind. She begs them not to leave, while others scream not to be abandoned. The lead truck simply floors it, roaring right past them. His expression hardens. He prepares to follow when an older woman grabs his handlebars. She screams that he cannot leave them, begging him to take them along. They are too old to survive on their own. He frowns in pure annoyance. Before the world fell, women like her lived comfortable lives on fat pensions. They used to push people around in grocery stores for cheap eggs. Now she wants his cargo bed by playing the age card. he tells her to beat it. Instead, she starts lecturing him about respecting the elderly and protecting the youth. So he kicks her hard, sending her flying into the ditch. Brutal, but this is survival. He hits the pedals, ignoring the furious curses echoing behind him. The world changed too fast, and people like the yoga pants woman have simply not adjusted to the brutal new rules of survival yet. The survivors on foot are left behind in seconds. Luckily, the labor-saving device on his tricycle keeps him moving despite a heavy cargo bed. Suddenly, a massive bus from the convoy comes swerving out of the town. Looking through the dirty windows, he can see the vehicle is mostly empty now. A desperate survivor tries to flag it down, but gets violently sent flying. The bus floors the accelerator to chase the convoy. He stands and pedals harder. He passes a few bicycles, but the motorcycles leave him far behind. His desire to upgrade this manual tricycle to an electric version hits a new high. Honestly, a car would be better, despite the constant fuel headaches. Fortunately, the road is decent, thanks to recent construction work. The potholes do not slow him down, but the convoy ahead is sprinting like madmen. He has no idea why they are panic driving, but he knows falling behind tonight means certain death. Today, he also discovers a crucial secret about their survival group. Perhaps their presence is the only reason they have stayed safe so far. His burning lungs convulse with every painful breath. Without the labor-saving device, he would have been left behind long ago. A flicker of light glows ahead, heavy breathing echoes from a few tired cyclists. The walkers are completely gone, and he has no idea how long he has been pedaling. Suddenly, the glowing light ahead halts, igniting a tiny spark of hope in his chest. Half an hour later, he finally catches up to the convoy setting up camp. They are pitching tents. Nearby, a massive 2-meter muscular man is carried to a clearing. His left arm is completely severed at the shoulder, dripping blood onto the grass. A young swordswoman stands guard beside him, right next to the mysterious barefoot man. Both look back in sheer disbelief that a guy riding a tricycle caught up first. He parks and collapses straight onto the grass, his chest heaving as he gasps. After about 5 minutes, his breathing finally slows down, though his entire body aches. He drags himself up, props his back against the trike tire, and pulls out a smoke. Flicking his lighter, the warm flame illuminates his face as he sparks up the premium cigarette. Exhaling a thick stream of smoke, he lets the nicotine wash away his heavy fatigue. Only then does he open the system, realizing his killing points have crossed 1,200. Remembering the nightmare he just escaped, he settles on a single, urgent plan. He must upgrade this manual tricycle to an electric motor, but are 1,200 points enough? If that devil-muscled brute had not thrown himself at the scissor woman in white, he probably would have never secured those easy 1,000 points. Today made him realize exactly how crucial an electric tricycle really is. Had the convoy ahead not decided to camp, he would have been left behind. In this cruel wasteland, being left behind means certain death. He is certain the convoy suddenly sprinted because they sensed approaching danger. Keeping pace with them is life or death, so he plans a smart modification. It needs to run on both pedals and a motor. On normal days, he pedals. In emergencies like today, he can activate the engine. He questions the system silently. Asking if he can customize his own blueprint, the system replies instantly. A 3-dimensional holographic blueprint flickers to life right before his eyes. In this plan, the 3 wheels are replaced with sturdy vacuum tires. Each is sized to 16 inches, while the rear cargo bed gets larger. The handlebars gain a throttle, brakes, and a bright headlight. He considers this. Riding in the pouring rain without protection would soak him. He modifies the front. He adds an enclosed cabin and swaps the wheels for rugged, off-road solid tires. Solid rubber requires zero maintenance and never punctures, despite a slightly rougher ride. Next, he reinforces the main frame, and the system instantly tracks his thoughts. It polishes the rough edges, automatically correcting any flawed or impractical choices. It defaults to a rear-wheel drive, but he overrides it to 3-wheel drive. While it is not a proper 4-wheel drive, it beats a standard rear drive. He changes the structural beam to a heavy-duty, non-load-bearing frame. This hardcore off-roader design is perfect for crawling over jagged rocks. It can handle deserts or the wasteland. These features are vital for survival. With every adjustment, the hologram looks less like a trike and more like a beast. If this apocalyptic war machine truly existed, it could match any modified SUV. He smiles and clicks confirm. the blue holographic model begins to flicker. A systematic prompt pops up, notifying him that the vehicle optimizer is active. But the bad news, upgrading this electric tricycle requires 3,500 points. Killing points which he doesn't have, the plan is dead. No, damn it, 3,500. And he only has a little over 1,200, it is way too much. Stunned, he looks at the blueprint of the tricycle he designed, his mouth watering as he stares. Refusing to walk away, so he lights a cigarette, thinks, and starts cutting. Features, he drops everything that is not urgent, keeping only the bare essentials, and cuts the headlight too, all to save killing points. A few minutes later, he is staring at a completely stripped-down plan with a heavy heart. The system tells him the current plan requires 1,200 killing points and a 15-hour upgrade. Does he want to proceed? 1,200 he has, 15 hours he can take, just as he is about to confirm his eye catches an abandoned motorcycle by the roadside, completely rusted out in the joints. A common sight in this apocalypse. If he had luck and patience, he could probably find an off-road bike, but reality says no. He asks the system if finding parts can shave killing points off, and the system answers yes. Weak and sore, he drags himself up and hauls the motorcycle over. Nearby people glance, seeing just an ordinary man fussing around with junk, and quickly look away. Others nearby are pitching tents and starting fires, and the smell of meat reaches him. His mouth instantly fills with saliva. He takes 2 deep drags of his cigarette, swallowing his hunger, and focuses. He asks the system if the bike can be cannibalized. Yes, and the current modification then costs 900 killing points, only 300 saved. Pathetic, he asks if there are other ways. The system tells him that if he can strip every part off the motorcycle and pre-install them on the tricycle, another 100 is saved. If he can find a third tire, that is another 100, and so on. The more pre-work he does, the more he saves, but with 0 tools. This is his ceiling for tonight. On his next supply run, he is grabbing a toolkit first. The original plan for an electric tricycle becomes gasoline-powered now. It cannot be helped. Next time he runs for supplies, he will be hunting fuel too. Fortunately, his tricycle still supports both modes, pedal or engine, though after the modification, pedaling will be much harder. He confirms, and an hourglass appears over the vehicle. 6 hours, 9 hours saved off. The original estimate, the modification will finish by morning. Only then does he check his supplies. He brought out 2 big bags from the supermarket, plus the 2 he swiped from the yoga pants woman and her brother gang. He opens the 2 supermarket bags first. The cigarette in his mouth has gone out, so he flicks it away. Honestly, in an apocalypse, who's going to lecture him on litter? He lights another and savors the smoke. More than half a pack left, plenty for now, allowing him to feel a little extravagant. Then he notices movement in the dark and looks over, wary. A new group arrives nearby, panting heavily, and they are finally here, half dead. The monsters have stopped chasing, leaving them alive. From their panicked voices, it sounds like the anomaly pursued them closely. The camp briefly fills with noise. Some weep with their heads in their hands, some sprawl on the ground gasping, while others are silent. A few glare at the people who drove cars, even him. He gets hateful looks for his tricycle, and he places the crossbow right next to him, warning them off with his eyes. They are in bad shape, some bleeding, but their misery is none of his doing. He is not in the business of playing the saint. Besides, the previous convoy had about 200 people. Even with these latecomers, they are under 100. This is the He drags his tricycle toward the car owners, keeping away from the angry crowd. Now he finally gets a safe moment to sort through his hard-earned haul. The very first bag is packed with rice, something he has not eaten in days. He swallows hard. The next bag is loaded with chips, snacks, and instant noodles. There are spicy strips, chocolate, bottled water, sweet drinks, and a massive snack pack. Pure joy washes over his face. Those drinks will give him an instant sugar rush. Even the empty bottles are useful for storing water, so he packs and hides it all. Next up, he checks the loot from the yoga pants woman and the brother gang. It is mostly female clothes, shoes, and hygiene products, useless to him. He can only use those for trading, but the brother gang's pack is massive. Inside, he finds cured meat, an absolute goldmine in this current world. There are endless snacks and 2 huge packs of dried noodles to keep him going. He also scores a few clean clothes and shoes, sending a quiet thrill through him. October is still stifling hot, and sweating every single day has left him smelling terrible. His current clothes look like rags. Even without a shower, clean gear will help. He can slip into a quick-drying shirt right now and pack away the dirty ones. He will wash them whenever he finds a river, because in this world, nothing goes to waste. He even hangs onto his beat-up shoes. He pulls out a camping stove to cook. He is planning a proper hot meal, using a crossbow bolt to pry off cured meat. He throws the cured meat chunks straight into his cooking pot, determined not to waste water. He skips washing the rice entirely, pours in a bit of water, and starts cooking. Check this out, the gang's pack also yielded 2 jars of chili crisp. Having spicy seasoning in a ruined world like this is an absolute blessing. Nearby, the latecomers are still weeping, but he just cannot bring himself to care. Honestly, the people who still have tears left are the ones who might survive. He leans back on his tricycle, blows a ring of smoke, and waits for dinner. He watches the others warily. Once he is sure they are safe, he checks his system. There are 5 hours left on the tricycle upgrade, and he has 300 points. He ponders sequence transcendence again, asking the system how he can awaken. The system responds instantly, laying out 2 paths. First, get a sequence injection. The second path is to self-awaken, and his eyes narrow at the prompt. Injections are considered completely priceless, especially now that humanity is driven from cities. Tracking one down would be nearly impossible. He asks if there is a self-awakening method. The system confirms it exists, but it costs 3,000 killing points. He nearly died just earning 1,000. 3,000 is pure fantasy right now. If he dumps his remaining 300 points, he will be left with absolutely nothing. But since the system is not demanding repayment yet, how should he spend those 300? He takes a deep drag of his cigarette, remembering what went down in Humgua Town. Against the scissor woman or paper-crying child, a normal man can only run. He tells the system to exchange his points for a way to deal with anomalies. The system immediately goes into a loading spin, looking exactly like a loading mobile app. 10 minutes pass. Just as he is about to give up, a notification pops up. It asks him to confirm the transaction of 300 points for a defense method. There really is a way. He sits straight up and hits confirm, watching his points vanish. A single line of text appears before his eyes. Black dog blood, talk about unexpected. A sudden worry flashes in his mind. What if his tricycle upgrades but has no fuel? If he swaps his progression for early sequence transcendence, can he pull gas from them? Then his mind wanders to a much bigger picture. If system injections can be exchanged, what about fuel? Surely other survival supplies are on the table too. He quickly asks the system about it. The system says yes, but once he sees the exchange rates, he goes completely silent. Unless his life is on the line, he will not be spending points on that. At dawn, a notification flashes. The upgrade is finished, and the tricycle glows faintly. His vehicle is completely transformed. It is no longer just a simple bicycle. Now it is a motorized tricycle. The front is adapted from that abandoned roadside motorcycle. The handlebars, seat, and large fuel tank are all integrated. At the back, the cargo bed features a major redesign with raised side railings. If he lowers the rear gate, he can sleep right in the bed. No more sleeping on the cold ground. Plus, the load capacity has climbed significantly. It still falls short of the blueprint, but for now, this is incredibly impressive. The front tire came from the motorcycle. The rear tires are still bicycle wheels. A compromise to save precious killing points. With no canopy over the driver's seat, facing wind and rain will be rough. It is rear-wheel drive only, costing 900 killing points. Absolutely worth it, but manual pedaling now requires way more physical effort. Without gas, this heavy beast might actually be less useful than his old setup. His entire mindset has shifted. Let's be real, falling behind is a literal death sentence. Lagging behind means certain death. This engine is still faster than any bicycle. Securing fuel will be a major pain, but he accepts that burden. He looks towards the front of the survivor convoy, 2 off-road vehicles, a sedan and a bus. They clearly have gasoline. With plenty of food supplies, he might negotiate a trade. Soon, his motorized tricycle starts drawing serious attention from the surrounding crowd. Some give him envious stares, while others openly mock his strange vehicle. They mutter that his old bicycle was better and that he will suffer hauling fuel. Another person whispers that they should ask where his old tricycle went because they need one. A third survivor points out the obvious. This is that exact same tricycle, completely modified. The crowd goes dead silent. Then someone mutters that something is seriously off about this. How could a normal person modify a vehicle like this in a single night? Everyone freezes. Even with several people working for days, this is brutal, yet he did it alone. It seems utterly impossible. Could he be some kind of dangerous anomaly? Their eyes turn wary. Deep suspicion, hatred, and fear ripple through them, yet not a single person steps forward. Several witnessed him shoot Brother Gang outside the supermarket yesterday, making the atmosphere incredibly tense. The sudden noise draws attention, and a clear voice cuts through. A long-legged girl with a high ponytail walks over, wearing athletic shoes and hot pants. She sports a cartoon t-shirt and carries a long, lethal sword resting on her hip. He instantly recognizes her from the rooftops back at Hong Kong town. Her agile movements were like skipping over rooftops, a true sequence transcendent. The other survivors do not know her, but they look at her with absolute awe. She glances around, her gaze landing squarely on him, then drifting over his modified tricycle. A strange gleam appears in her eyes. He slowly reaches for his crossbow, fully on guard. He knows he is outmatched, but surrendering is not an option. She asks if it is his. She calls it incredible. Yesterday, he was riding around on a basic tricycle. But today, a motorcycle truly impressive. She asks him if he has. Finally awakened a sequence, her bright eyes lock right onto him, staring. He freezes. The surrounding survivors are even more shocked by the sudden news. Most have only heard rumors of transcendence. They have never seen one. After yesterday, nobody thinks they are myths. Now, word is spreading fast. Everyone hears that Jin Yeop has awakened his own power. Shocking news. Their disdain instantly flips to pure envy. She hums, deciding it is the mechanic sequence, and tells him to follow. She turns, leading the way toward the vehicles up front, leaving the staring, envious crowd far behind. Jin Yeop understands. She has completely mistaken his upgrade system for a sequence ability. He keeps quiet, he follows. This convoy has a harsh class divide. The elite car owners up front include at least 2 sequence transcendents, totaling only a few dozen people. Clean clothes and easy posture show how much better off they are. Word says there is even a celebrity traveling with them. Everyone else, cyclists and walkers, must trail behind, completely vulnerable. Yesterday made it clear they could be abandoned at any moment. A barefoot young man with a strange aura watches them arrive, drawing curious looks from others. Nana introduces him, announcing he just awakened the mechanic sequence. Surprise quickly turns to envy, even from the tougher men. One of them calls him the 4th sequence transcendent on the team. They are thrilled, remarking that their group's overall power is growing incredibly fast. That means there is another powerful user, besides the 3 he has met. The barefoot man must be one, while Nana flips her ponytail and points at the modified motorcycle, looking proud of her find. She tells the team to remember how that basic tricycle looked last night compared to this incredible machine. Only a mechanic sequence user could pull off such an amazing feat. Nana slaps his shoulder. The barefoot man with the strange aura stands up. He extends a hand with a warm, sunny smile, welcoming him to their rank. He promises that a wild, brand new world has finally opened up for him. At that moment, the door to this strange reality cracks open. Steam rises from a fresh teacup. This is Jin Yeop's first taste of tea since the world ended. And even though he used to hate it, it feels incredibly refreshing. He sits with the barefoot man and the long-legged girl as introductions begin. He is Chu Chile, a pathfinder, and she is Nana, a sword immortal. Jin Yeop introduces himself as a mechanic sequence, going along with their assumption. Since that is what they decided, he will happily play the part. It is safer. Chu Chile mentions another member, a giant Titan sequence user who is currently resting. Assuming Jin Yeop has lots of questions, Chu Chile kindly offers to help. He recalls being just as clueless in the beginning, so Jin Yeop asks what the mechanic sequence actually is. Chu Chile looks at him, completely surprised. Normally, newly awakened transcendents receive this basic information embedded in their genes, but Jin Yeop acts clueless, swallowing his suspicion. The man sips his tea and explains that mechanic sequence users possess an unmatched, innate understanding of how every piece of machinery operates. Machines, he calls it an auxiliary sequence, something that in peacetime would have been the perfect sequence. What a pity. Still, the explanation gives him a much clearer picture. There are over 100 kinds of sequence transcendents, and even Chu Chile only knows a handful. Each has a totally unique ability. There are broad categories: combat, auxiliary, and supernatural. Even different nations have their own unique classes. The old country had the legendary sword Immortal and Heavenly Master, while The island country relied on ninjas and shikigami, Nana's coveted sword immortal. Sequence is a rare branch from the old country, built purely for the blade, Chu Chayo. Mentions that as early as 2025, anomalies were already breaking out. They were less severe. Back then, easily managed by governments. Around that time, a few lucky people started. Awakening as sequence transcendence, Chu Chayo talks at a measured pace, and the young man listens. Intently, the captain stresses that anomalies cannot be killed, and only sequence. Transcendents have a chance against them, but as he already witnessed, even transcendents can only do so much. Putting down an anomaly is incredibly difficult at lower levels, and outright impossible for most. That white-clothed scissor woman they encountered, the captain explains, was not even a high-tier anomaly. Yet, Iron Lion and Nana working together could barely escape with their lives. Iron Lion even lost an arm just to survive. Human transcendents are simply too weak right now, while the anomalies keep growing stronger, and their future is looking pretty bleak. Honestly, it is a massive reality check. His heart grows heavy. Former cities are now teeming monster nests, and evolving. Is there any hope left for humanity? Chu Chayo then explains why their convoy has managed to stay safe. It turns out he possesses the Pathfinder sequence. It has no offensive power, but it lets him sense the aura of anomalies from a distance, plotting a safe route around them. That is the sole reason the convoy has avoided being wiped out. He adds that these creatures are naturally drawn to human presence. The larger the group, the more attention they attract, which means staying on the move is their only real shot at survival. There is no final destination, just pure survival. Chu Chayo tells him he is now the fourth sequence transcendent in their group. With his help, the convoy will be much safer. And welcomes him. Nana watches him with eager, bright eyes. He shrugs. What choice does he really have? He shakes the captain's hand before asking if the team has any spare gasoline. Chu Chayo immediately asks what he is willing to offer in trade. Here, every single resource has to be scavenged or bartered. Even as a newly awakened sequence transcendent, he still has to trade. It seems sequence transcendents get no special privileges, despite the warm welcome he just received. Seeing an opportunity, he proposes holding an internal trade fair. They just left Hunghua town, meaning almost everyone has gathered some loot to swap. Chu Chayo winks and tells him that as long as he can pay the price, he can get anything he wants. Instantly, his mind starts racing with possibilities. A market like this is the perfect chance to barter for the materials he needs to upgrade his trusty tricycle, and he can barely hide his growing excitement. Before long, he gets a clear picture of exactly how this survival convoy operates. Regular folks make up the vast majority, but they carry absolutely zero real bargaining power. The only ones he can make any serious deals with are the other sequence transcendents. Their leader, Chu Chayo, possesses the extremely valuable Pathfinder sequence, a natural commander. He guides the survivors with a surprisingly relaxed but steady hand. His only rule is absolute fairness, whether it is the captain himself or the humblest survivor, anyone looking to supplies have to be found or traded with something of equal value. He once saw guys sneaking into another tent at night. As long as the price was paid, he survived. No objections there. Holding on to fairness in a lawless world like this is rare. They quickly throw a trade fair together to welcome him, the newly joined sequence transcendent, Chu Chayo, Nana, and the still recovering big guy Holda. Small materials exchange. Plenty of people fled Hunghua town with various goods, and the fair lets them maximize their trades. Zero complicated rules here. Both parties just have to agree. The whole event is set for 2 hours, and then they hit the road. For survivors who have been highly strung for weeks, this fair lands like sweet spring rain, bringing rare smiles to a few faces. The trunks of several off-road vehicles open up. People haul out their hard-earned supplies, and he unloads his motorcycle gear, too. Those cigarettes, he is definitely keeping them for himself naturally, counting his motorized tricycle, motorcycles, and bicycles. The convoy has 4 four-wheelers, including 2 modified off-road vehicles belonging to Chu Chayo and Nana, a bus belonging to the Titan sequence Big Fool, who is still healing, and 1 small sedan. That sedan belongs to the convoy's legendary celebrity. He spots her as well, a young woman in plain jeans and a simple white shirt, hair well kept and delicate features, lovely even without makeup. She looks familiar, but he just cannot place her. She introduces herself as Ju Ran, and only then does he recognize her name. She actually likes his work, saying that it is quite good. He thanks her, then asks to look at her women's clothing. Has Chu Kaiao's trunk is half filled with expired biscuits and cola enough, so he will not go hungry anytime soon. Then he spots a solar charging panel, the kind hikers use to recharge phones in the wild, if he could get one and upgrade it, maybe power an electric vehicle, but right now he needs gasoline. More, but he files it away, and he also has assault jackets, fleece, quick-drying clothes, all the practical gear, and 2 large barrels of gasoline, and a few strange animal hides, including one blood-red hide that catches his eye. He tells him he picked it up escaping Gungxi Yang, saying he does not know its use but offers a discount if he wants it, 1 bag of rice, and it is. Chu Kaiao is eyeing his bag of rice, trade rice for a useless hide. No way, he politely refuses. Chu Kaiao clicks his tongue, calling him stingy, then asks for 2 packs of premium cigarettes instead. After this stunt, our guy's respect for him completely tanks. He asks how to trade for the gasoline, and the captain strokes his chin, demanding a box of instant noodles, Snickers bars, and 5 pounds of rice. Forget that, time to look around. Chu Kaiao is not the only one with gasoline. He moves to Nana's trunk, and her off-road is huge, but only a small portion is filled with clothes. Her food consists of snacks, instant noodles, and packaged cured meat of uncertain expiration, plus several handheld game consoles. She tells him the consoles are the latest models and offers him a discount. She says he just has to give her his bag of flour, but he has absolutely no use for games in this apocalypse. There are also several sharp knives in the car. She tells him they came from a luxury villa and asks for 10 pounds of flour for the long one. He asks the gasoline rate, 20 pounds of rice, making him fall silent. Finally, he heads to the bus. It has the most supplies. Because the bus passengers pooled their resources, plenty of survivors are now lingering around the stalls. These stalls are packed with canned beef, fish, baseball bats, and instant noodles. There is underwear, toilet paper, even high-end laptops, and a box of expensive phones. He also notices a camping power bank, a big 2 kilowatt-hour beast. Back in the old days, these high-tech devices cost thousands of dollars. But in this lawless apocalypse, without power to charge them, they are basically just fancy decorations. He also spots rice cookers. Then Chen spots exactly what he actually needs, a toolkit. Without real tools, upgrading his tricycle cost him extra system fees. With his new mechanic sequence class, he cannot operate without one. A bald 30-something seller in glasses smiles at him, acting incredibly fawning. He promises Chen this toolkit will make his work twice as easy. The man eagerly offers a nice discount, asking for 10 pounds of rice or 2 boxes of instant noodles. Chen frowns, thinking that price is far too steep. In the apocalypse, raw grain is the ultimate currency, especially unpackaged rice. Most people have been eating nothing but instant noodles and packaged food. Those escaping homeworld town only grabbed light snacks like chips and crackers. Flour and rice are extremely scarce. Seeing Chen frown, the seller quickly backpedals. He quickly drops it to 5 pounds, or just 2 free repairs on the bus. The seller anxiously watches Chen's face, since the convoy is under 100 people. The news that he is a Connect sequence transcendent is already out. Chen hesitates, then agrees, and the thrilled man loads the heavy toolkit. Chen also trades a few noodle packs for essential seasonings like oil. Only 30 minutes of his 2-hour window remain, and he still lacks gasoline. The only fuel sellers are Chu Chiao, Nana, and the currently absent Iron Lion. All 3 are demanding absolutely ridiculous prices for it. Does he really have to spend his precious rice on this? He hasn't eaten rice himself in several days, and he really hates to part with it. Maybe he can trade a system secret. He needs the gasoline, but he also wants to get Nana's knife. And right now, a mysterious pair of eyes has been watching his every move. The gaze belongs to Ju Ran, the former celebrity who owns the sedan. Her supplies are slim, yet plenty of desperate men still crowd her stall. Seeing Chen hesitate, she suddenly stands up and walks to her car. She opens the back door and drags out a heavy, square iron gasoline barrel from inside. Her younger brother immediately rushes over, grabbing her hand to stop her. He shares a striking resemblance to her. If he were a girl, he would be gorgeous. Ju Ran tells him to let go, but her brother stubbornly refuses, asking her if she is seriously giving their fuel away. She tells him not to worry. She promises she isn't that foolish, and the boy half believes her. Patting his head, she reassures him it is true, and he finally lets go. She carries the heavy oil barrel straight toward Chen, offering it to him. Chen immediately asks for her price, and she requests 10 pounds of rice. Or maybe 8 if 10 is too inconvenient. Chen frowns. Chu Chiel and Nana both demanded 20 pounds for a single barrel. Her price is almost too cheap. Softening her voice, she explains she has another barrel to reach their destination. She is selling it cheap, hoping he will protect her when trouble hits before the next resupply. She wants him to look out for her. Looking her over, Chen silently sizes her up. In this dark wasteland, she is like a glowing firefly. And the crowd of leering men surrounding her stall already proves it. If not for the convoy's strict order, she would have been ruined long ago. With civilization slowly slipping away in this apocalypse, her fame will not protect her. Instead, it will make her a target. Chu Chiel and Nana have their own groups. She stands entirely alone, which is why she is begging for Chen's protection. He is a newly awakened sequence transcendent, after all. He hesitates, then speaks. Chen tells her a single barrel is not enough, making her face turn pale. Desperate, she asks what else he wants. She and her brother have almost nothing. Back in Manhwa town, the siblings barely gathered more supplies than ordinary survivors. This fuel barrel is her ultimate bargaining chip, but if she parts with it, their sedan will be stranded. Chen tells her to hand over the barrel for free. Only then will he agree to step in and help her whenever she runs into trouble. Her face flushes red with anger. She never expected him to be this shameless. He looks handsome, yet he is demanding her precious fuel for absolutely nothing. Food and gas are life in this wasteland, and she almost died securing this. Her gentle eyes turn razor-sharp as she stares at Chen in absolute disbelief. Gritting her teeth, she demands to know how he can be so shameless. But Chen shows absolutely zero guilt. He casually tells her to pick some clothes. He tells her she can choose whatever clothes she likes from his massive pile. He reminds her that she would not be begging if she had other options. Before the world ended, an ordinary guy like him would not even exist to her. But now Chen is a transcendent. She is ordinary and she must choose. Her chest heaves with pure rage. In the old world, she would have ignored him. There would not have been even the most basic interaction between them. Now her face burns with deep humiliation and her eyes begin to water. A heavy silence stretches for 30 long seconds before she finally makes her move. She grits her teeth and accepts the deal. Soon, her brother Ju Saucer arrives. Ju Saucer is absolutely furious, asking his sister if she has lost her mind. They only have 2 barrels of fuel left. If they give one away, they are stranded. He storms off to take it back, but she desperately tries to stop him. She warns him that Chen is a sequence transcendent they cannot afford to anger. But Ju Saucer scoffs, calling Chen a mere mechanic, not a combat fighter. With their strong team leader Chu Chiel around, why should they fear him? Ju Saucer marches right up to Chen, drawing a crowd of curious onlookers. The hot-headed brother intentionally raises his voice, trying to pressure Chen. His loud shouting is impossible to ignore. Chen casually lights a cigarette. He blows a cloud of smoke, a mocking smirk playing on his lips. Ju Saucer stands in front of him, trying to look composed while calling him Mr. Chen. As the kid demands his sister's fuel back, Chen blows smoke directly in his face. Coughing and fanning the smoke away, Ju Saucer glares. Chen just raises his chin. The boy reaches down and grabs the fuel barrel right off Chen's tricycle. This sudden clash in the middle of the convoy immediately draws everyone's attention. Looking over, some watch him with malicious glee, others stare at the Jew. Siblings like they are fools, in this apocalypse offending a high sequence. Transcendent without knowing how they will die is rare, many people want to curry favor but fail. Ju Ran watches everything from a distance. Not stopping her brother, when he looks at her, she turns her head away, feeling a little guilty, but he does not care about the barrel. If it is gone, it is gone. She is not the only one with gasoline. He walks to Chu's shield and the barefoot man smiles gently, offering him a discount, 18 pounds of rice for a barrel, but he says no, calling the man too greedy. He chuckles and points out that Ju Ran will not trade with him, but he will. He is helping, yet being called greedy. He shakes his head and tells him he wants to trade information for gasoline. Chu's shield says worthless information cannot buy a barrel, but he promises it is guaranteed valuable, a method to deal with anomalies. His expression instantly turns serious, asking if he is telling the truth. He confirms it, explaining that black dog blood, while unable to kill anomalies, can have a certain effect, and the man's pupils dilate. He murmurs out, of course, why did he not think of it, that even if it cannot kill, having an effect is already Powerful, he agrees that the information is easily worth a barrel of gasoline. He also wants his solar charging panel, contingent on how much effect Black Dog Blood actually has, so they talk past the panel, watching him. Look at that. With just a few words, he gets a barrel of gasoline from Chu Shield. The Ju siblings look at each other, both seeing the same idiot in the others. Eyes deeply surprised and uncertain, he finds Nana next. In this convoy, the strongest combatant is not the still recovering Titan sequence, but this young sword immortal. If not for her, Big Fool would have died long ago. Her first question is what he plans to do about Ju Ran and them. He shrugs. What can he do? They are not the only ones with gasoline. He adds that he does not believe her. She says none of them are any good, wondering what schemes he is cooking up. The sword immortal's eyes clearly show 3 words: I do not believe it. All right then, he tells her he plans to trade for her knife and repeats to her what he told Chu Shield. Her reaction matches his, completely surprised. He trades the same information for the weapon. The outdoor Kai knife has a blade and handle just over 40 centimeters, a wooden grip, dark black blade, thick spine, solid in the hand. The sheath is a simple leather cover hanging from the waist. Nana tells him the Kai knife is a Japanese brand, before the apocalypse. It cost around 3,000 won, or 5,000 on the secondary market. When he takes a fancy to it, her face shows a pained expression. Regarding the Black Dog Blood method, he has no intention of keeping it secret. Humanity is at a clear disadvantage. Over 90% of us have been lost in just a few months. Any piece of information that deals with anomalies is valuable. He does not mind spreading it and does not go to the bus to trade. He wants the 2 kilowatt-hour outdoor power bank, but Big Fool is still asleep and no one can make that call. The Ju siblings, meanwhile, are startled and they do not know what he said to Chu Shield and Nana. They just saw him say a few words and walk away with a barrel of gasoline and an outdoor Kai knife. Jo So recognizes the Kai knife from Nana, having wanted it for having been out of the trade loop for so long. He is pretty confused. He also gets 2 small bags filled with Black Dog Blood. The only 2 black dogs in the convoy belong to survivors. Getting them would have been hard for Chen Yi, but it was incredibly easy for Chu Chi, who simply trades some chocolate and sausages for them. Chen Yi then returns to his motorized tricycle and notices that a few pieces of women's clothing have been traded from his stall. The loudspeaker on Chu Chi's modified off-road vehicle suddenly announces that the convoy departs in 15 minutes. Panic instantly spikes among the survivors who have not finished trading yet. Meanwhile, Chen Yi calmly pulls a bundle of crossbow bolts from the cargo bed. Most are rough and homemade, but they are far better than nothing since standard bolts ran out long ago. Using his newly acquired Kai knife, he can clean them up. This Japanese brand Kai knife is incredibly useful. Finally, he dumps the adjusted bolts into the bag of Black Dog Blood, ties it tight, and tosses it into a corner of the cargo bed. The convoy starts moving, led by Chu Chi's off-road vehicle, followed by Nana's. Then the bus. So far, he has not seen any other sequence transcendence. He follows right behind the bus, essentially becoming the 4th most important person in the convoy. Further back is the celebrity sister's car. Inside, Ju Ran anxiously asks her brother if he found out what Chen Yi said to Captain Chu Chi and Nana, already filled with regret. She had practically given away her gasoline, only to make her brother take it back. She can only blame herself for acting so foolishly, unable to part with that single barrel of fuel. But the damage is done. Talk about a terrible move. Now, both she and her brother have completely offended him. Our guy doesn't care. He effortlessly walks away with a barrel of gasoline and a Kai knife. She went quite pale. Her brother, Jo So tells her that Uncle Abu, that crafty old fox, claimed he had no idea, despite claiming to be her biggest fan. He is definitely a fake fan, Jo So mutters as he drives. Meanwhile, Old Lee drives the bus and Uncle Abu drives Chu Chi's off-road. Both vehicles carry 3 passengers each, forming their own tight-knit groups. Having returned with absolutely no information, Jo So is pretty annoyed. He tells his sister he knows she is worried that by offending Chen Yi, they will not be able to survive in this convoy, but she remains completely silent. He smiles, telling her there is absolutely nothing to fear. Honestly, he might be a little too confident. After all, they have survived on their own this entire time. Every single supply run was a near-death experience, which is exactly why they live so much better than the others. The gasoline was hard-earned, so why hand it over to Chen Yi? They do not need anyone else to protect them. They only rely on themselves. As he says this, he looks incredibly proud. She reaches out to tap his forehead, but her heart remains heavy with worry. Chen-yi refuels his motorized tricycle using the gasoline he got from Chu-chi, and the engine rumbles to life, sending the vehicle forward. Today, the entire convoy speeds up a notch, likely trying to make up for lost time from this morning. At the front, Chu-chi occasionally steps out of his car, tastes a handful of sand, and points toward a safe direction. This is the guide sequence in action. Pretty wild to see up close, isn't it? Back when Chen-yi followed at the very rear, he never witnessed this firsthand. By late afternoon, Chu-chi calls for a rest and Chen-yi takes some supplies out of his motorcycle sidecar and begins cooking dinner. He has not tasted real rice in days, making him a bit greedy today. Although many perished in Honghua town, the survivors managed to carry out heavy supplies as a blood moon rises overhead. With warm food in everyone's stomachs, the gloomy atmosphere in camp begins to fade. Just as Chen-yi finishes eating, Uncle Abu rushes over to report that Iron Lion has finally woken up. Seeing this legendary Titan sequence giant, Chen-yi is completely startled. Back during the day at the supermarket, he had seen that arm severed right at the shoulder, yet today it has grown back a section. He wonders if this is a sequence transcendence ability. Nana and Chu-kei are not surprised. However, Iron Lion looks slightly surprised to see him. He tells him, lying there on the bed, that if not for Chen-yi's arrow that day, he would have died. He tells him honestly that if not for his sacrifice, he would have died too, if Iron Lion had not blocked the terrifying white-clothed scissor woman that day. Only a few of them would have survived. He introduces himself as Iron Lion of the Flesh Titan sequence and explains that flesh regeneration is just a basic Titan ability, laughing as he asks if it is amazing. He's heard that Chen-yi is of the mechanic sequence and says, that is amazing. Now, when vehicles break down in the convoy, they will not have to abandon them. The man is a total chatterbox with endless things to say. After Chu-kei explains the trick with the black dog blood, Iron Lion thanks Chen-yi since the convoy operates on fairness. This is not free. He asks what Chen-yi wants, who requests a 2 kilowatt-hour power bank, and Iron Lion readily agrees, promising to have Old Lee bring it over later. Talk about a solid deal. This simple power bank puts him one step closer to converting his motorcycle into a hybrid gas-electric tricycle. The next few days are quiet and leisurely. Sometimes the convoy travels east, and sometimes they move forward for half a day, only to end up right back where they started by evening. At first, some survivors complain, but Chu-kei steps in and warns them that anyone unwilling to follow the convoy is free to leave. Nobody dares object after that, though their route looks insane. Only a few sequence transcendents look deeply serious, as Chu-kei explains that several anomalies have been actively hunting for the convoy's trail, and at their closest point, the monsters were less than 3 kilometers away. Without his Pathfinder sequence, everyone would already be dead. Whenever the group stops to rest, Chen-yi makes time to cut branches and bamboo for crossbow bolts. Using his kai knife, his efficiency skyrockets. Once each bolt is finished, he coats the shaft with black dog blood. His quiver now holds over 100, and the convoy's 2 black dogs are listless from being bled. Chu-kei announces that tomorrow they reach Jiangsu village, explaining that the convoy's essential supplies are running dangerously low, and they must scavenge. Faces around them twist between terror and expectation. Aside from a few sequence transcendents, the survivors are running on fumes. If they cannot find food, a riot will break out. Chen-yi lights a cigarette and calculates his odds. In this brutal apocalypse, the rule is simple. The more prosperous a city once was, the more terrifying it is now. Several super cities are complete dead zones, but small villages still offer some hope. Armed with over 100 bolts, he could earn a huge amount of killing points. The system previously mentioned a way to fully awaken his true sequence, but it requires 3,000 points. Suddenly, a terrified scream rips through the entire camp, someone shrieking that an anomaly is here, and just like that, things go south. A single scream plunges the silent night into absolute chaos. Women scream, children sob, and desperate men shout as panicked survivors pack up to flee. In a flash, bright sword light flashes, and a massive figure charges straight toward the danger. Lion, Nana, and the other sequence transcendents are on the move. The camp is in complete disarray, proving the deep psychological dread these anomalies have left on the survivors. Disturbance, faces pale. Panicked, he grabs his crossbow, loads a black dog blood bolt, and stands ready. Under the blood moon, the distant woods are swallowed in shadows. Looking closer, dozens of Ghostly figures are densely packed within the trees, making his scalp tingle. If these are all anomalies, nobody in the camp makes it out alive tonight, can Chu Kai not sense the aura of these anomalies? How could he let them get this close? Suddenly, a dark figure emerges from the shadows, and a weak voice begs them for help as a bright flashlight cuts through the dark. In the beam stands a person in rags, clothes completely torn, wearing only a single shoe. It is a human, not an anomaly, letting everyone sigh in relief. He finally understands why Chu Kai did not detect them. As a sequence pathfinder and danger sensor, he detects supernatural threats, but these are just normal, everyday humans. Then a second person appears, then a third, until dozens stand before them. They are all dressed in rags, looking haggard survivors. Chu Kai steps out in front of the crowd, studying them warily before asking who they are. Their leader explains they escaped from Yuk City, which has completely fallen. Dozens of dark figures begin to sob mournfully, leaving him stunned as his heart sinks. Yuk City could not compare to first-tier metropolises like Sango, but it was still a famous second-tier city known for tourism, somewhere he once planned on visiting with his girlfriend. Now it is completely gone, just as he had feared. If a major hub like Sango became a forbidden zone, Yuk City had no hope of escaping. Still, hearing it firsthand hits incredibly hard. The camp, which had just calmed, erupts again with panic shouts about Yuk City falling, while others cry out, asking if humanity has any hope left. Some wail for parents trapped inside. The tragic story comes out quickly. They hid in an underground parking garage until they could not bear it any longer and escaped. Out of 200 people, only dozens survived. He approaches Chu Kai to ask if these newcomers might attract anomalies, earning a surprised look. At the nickname Old Chu, the guide squats, grabs some dirt, and puts it in his mouth like a delicacy. After 10 seconds, he opens his eyes and nods to Nana. That is his way of using his power to confirm they have no stalkers. These sequence transcendence abilities are truly miraculous. Chu Kai can detect anomalies just by eating dirt, while Iron Lion regrew a severed arm. The system once told him that if he accumulates 3,000 killing points, it will reveal how to awaken his sequence. 3,000, will he ever have enough? Chu Kai says. Joining is fine, but they must follow the rules. The leading dark figure promises they will obey everything. He explains the only rule is fairness, and that new arrivals get 1 day of free food before they must support themselves. The refugees look at each other and say nothing. He walks off without looking back. The convoy started with 200, lost half at Hunghwa town, but with these new arrivals, the count climbs over 100. He takes a long look at the new survivors, then returns to his vehicle as the camp gets busy. Chu Kai picks middle-aged women to help cook a basic meal of porridge and pickles. He lies in the truck bed, wrapped in clothes, starting to doze while thinking that the more prosperous a city used to be, the more dangerous it is now. While remote villages are relatively safer, still, he cannot be careless. He needs rest now. He hoped his next stop would bring enough killing points to pass 3,000. Finally unlocking the sequence awakening method, then he heard an unfamiliar female voice, loudly complaining about fairness, demanding to know why only women did the work while the men did nothing, accusing the entire convoy of discrimination. Hearing this, Chinyi sat up in his motorcycle tricycle and looked toward the source. There stood a plump woman with a round face and pointed chin. As everyone stared, her eyes swept the crowd and glared at him. He rubbed his nose, figuring this woman had to be insane, before lighting up a cigarette to blow smoke rings, ready to enjoy the drama. This was team leader Chu Kao's problem, not his. Chu Kao looked at her with amusement, asking what she thought fairness would look like. Her eyes darted, saying outright that in the middle of this harsh apocalypse, men should step up. So why were women cooking while men enjoyed the benefits? How was he even a leader? Perhaps because Chu Kao always seemed so gentle. Or maybe she was simply a newcomer desperate to grab some attention. Some women in the convoy perked up, and other newcomers quietly backed her up. However, the female cooks glared at her like she was trying to snatch their livelihood. Remaining silent, Chu Kao glanced over at Nana, who simply rolled her eyes, clutched her longsword, and walked away. Chu Kao smiled gently and told the cooks to rest, suggesting Sister Zhou's team take a break while Uncle Wang chose some men to cook instead. Uncle Wang nodded, immediately heading out to make his selections, while the woman demanding fairness suddenly realized that something was incredibly off. The displaced cooks glared with bitter resentment, once Uncle Wang gave his order, dozens of men rushed over, shouting that they used to be professional chefs. They begged to be picked. She was completely baffled, unable to understand why. She thought she was helping them, so why did they stare so bitterly? Her plan was simple: enter a new group and seize power by representing them. Instead, the new male cooks finished cooking quickly, and a rich aroma spread. The starving Uke City survivors watched with hungry, desperate eyes. Normally, they would have ignored plain porridge, but now it seemed incredibly delicious. Even the veteran survivors couldn't help but drool. Food was running dangerously low. The entire convoy would starve without fresh supplies, but Chen Yi just watched. He exhaled another smoke ring, quite amused as the real show finally began. After dinner, every man who helped cook received a small extra piece of bread. The self-righteous woman watched them happily gather their reward, completely stunned. Suddenly, a loud and stinging slap echoed through the quiet night air. A furious middle-aged woman with permed hair struck her hard, snarling with rage. She screamed that, because of her stupid stunt, she lost her only chance at food. Another woman cheered her on, yelling that this troublemaker had ruined their opportunity. They blamed her for giving away their cooking jobs, screaming to beat her. Before she could even react, another angry woman grabbed her by the hair. She tried to explain, but heavy fists quickly cut her off from speaking. Chen Yi rolled over, lying back in his vehicle to watch the stars. A sinister blood moon hung in the nearby sky, but he had no desire to look. He realized that Chu Keo's gentle, quiet demeanor was simply a clever mask. The captain had anticipated this outcome, knowing the crowd was desperately starving. So the leader gave them a chance, then a woman jumped out and he went. With the flow letting her get crushed, this team leader is definitely not simple. The woman's screams ring right in Wang Lei's ears. It is already the apocalypse, and some people still have not adjusted. They deserve it. Meanwhile, he lies comfortably in the back, sleeping in a real bed, beats the hard ground as the convoy continues forward. According to Chu Zio, they will reach Jiangsu village in 2 more days, a carefully chosen resupply target. At dawn, Wang Lei lights a flame, pouring half a bottle of mineral water into a pot, adding rice, and waiting for it to cook. Using the chopper he traded from Nana, he cuts up several thin slices of cured meat, tossing them into the pan with oil and some wild vegetables he picked from the roadside days ago. The stir-fried cured meat and wild vegetables take shape. His cooking is ordinary, but in this environment, a meal like this is rare, making the new survivors sniff the air. Their meal is plain porridge and pickles. Compared to his feast, it is night and day, but he's too lazy to care. Once the rice is almost done, he dumps the stir-fry in and eats. Finally, someone breaks. An old woman leads a small child up to him, looking at him pitifully. She begs him to share with her grandson, who hasn't eaten meat in a long time, claiming lack of nutrition is ruining his health. Before he can answer, the child is already reaching for his rice bowl, trying to snatch it, and his expression darkens. He has seen bratty kids before, but never one this annoying. He hasn't even agreed, yet this hand is already grabbing his bowl, which stays locked firmly in his grip. The grandmother doesn't seem to notice, still smiling fawningly, while the brat screams, "Give it to me, I want to eat." He goes on and on, but Wang Lei's patience is incredibly thin. For bratty ones, it is non-existent. Back when cameras were everywhere, he would have been careful, but now he has many ways to make a brat shut up. Smack. The slap is heavy, spinning the kid like a top onto his bottom. Then he wails. In the old woman's eyes, her grandson is always well-behaved and adorable. He only wanted to eat, only tried to grab it, but this guy refused. To her, it is no big deal, but this grown man not only argued with her grandson, he slapped him, and hard. Seeing the red, swollen handprint makes her heart ache. Many people are watching. Ju So watches him like someone enjoying a show, but talks to his sister, telling her that Wang Lei went too far, that giving him a barrel of gasoline was a complete waste, and that it's good she took it back. In his mind, Wang Lei went overboard after all. He's just a child. Even if he refused, why slap him? His opinion of Wang Lei drops several more levels. Ju Ran looks around, finds no one paying attention, and complains in a low tone, telling her brother that is nonsense. It was clearly that child who was ill-behaved. Her brother argues he is just a kid, so what does he expect? And that Wang Lei is a sequence transcendent, not someone to offend. Her brother snorts that even a child is a human, not an animal. As a pre-apocalypse superstar, Ju Ran has seen much more than her naive brother. If it were her, she might have chosen to give in, hiding behind the excuse that he is just a child. Deep down, though, she becomes far more wary of Wang Lei. She even wonders if not stopping her brother from taking back that gasoline was a mistake. Meanwhile, this sequence. Transcendent, her brother rolls his eyes and asks what Chen Yi will do about this. Chu Chile watches with amusement, his eyes full of playfulness. Iron Lion scratches his head, muttering that the kid is still just a child who does not know better. Nana snorts coldly, asking what does that matter since a child is still a person. She wonders if being young gives them a free pass to do whatever they want. That before the apocalypse, some kids were worse than demons. Iron Lion is speechless. Titan sequence users always seem bad with words. Chen Yi looks at the grandmother and grandson indifferently as the kid cries, reaching for his grandmother. She calls him her poor good grandson, her eyes turning red. But the chubby boy is too heavy for her to lift. She can only help him up by the hand. The child stands wailing behind her, suddenly feeling brave again. Behind his grandma, glaring at Chen Yi once more, she immediately starts lecturing him about being young and respecting his elders. She demands to know how his parents and school raised him, threatening that she will make him regret it. Without a second thought, Chen Yi stands up and kicks the glaring kid right out from behind her, sending him flying like a broken sack. She screams out Jang. Jang, wailing as she runs after him. The child slides 2 or 3 meters before stopping, and his loud wailing echoes through the camp. The onlookers are completely dumbfounded. She calls his name repeatedly while the kid cries that it hurts. Chen Yi did not hold back at all. The brat is bleeding with several teeth knocked out. When he opens his mouth to cry, those front teeth are completely gone. The pathetic scene of them crying in each other's arms unfolds as she glares up at Chen Yi, crying out that he is just a child. He snorts, telling her that some kids are humans, but others are just wild animals. In the old world, whenever the brat caused trouble, she would use that excuse to take the moral high ground, forcing others to swallow their anger. She never expected this trick to fail so completely in the apocalypse against Chen Yi. Many onlookers feel a secret satisfaction, having escaped Yup City together. With the grandmother and grandson, they were already sick of their behavior. The pair only survived because others took care of them along the way. Once everyone saw their true colors, they stopped caring. If this convoy had not shown up, the two would have died out here. Now she wants a fight. But Chen Yi plays dirty. With a loud bang, he kicks her flying, stumbling 3 or 5 meters back onto her backside, completely unable to get back up. Everyone is stunned. Some look at him with disdain. Jo So tugs her sister's sleeve, whispering that Chen Yi is a total brute who does not spare anyone. Even the elderly and children are not safe. She used to think he was a coward, but now she is terrified of him. When he turns his gaze towards her, she quickly looks away, her heart thumping. Others, however, highly praise his actions. Nana rests her hand on her sword, admitting she did not expect him to do that. She says it fits her taste extremely well, a real man's move. Iron Lion scratches his head, staying quiet. Nana glances over and snorts coldly, asking if he is about to preach about respecting elders and protecting kids. She calls him a total meathead. It seems the legend about Titan's sequence, reducing intelligence, is true. She complains about greedy old folks crowding train cars at dawn to snatch cheap eggs. They act fragile when boarding, yet turn tough as nails when stepping off, drawing pensions several times larger than hers, dancing in plazas all night, and about the brats. She seems deeply troubled. Iron Lion's mouth hangs open, completely lost for words. Chu Kaio claps and says, "All right, let us go." He walks slowly toward the child, and the child tries to hide behind his grandmother. The old woman immediately shields him, demanding to know what Chen Yi wants. He chuckles, asking if she plans to settle the score with him once her son or others return. Their expressions tell him he is absolutely right. He chuckles again, reminding her that in this apocalypse, those not here now might never return. He then asks the child if he understands. Her face goes pale and the child pouts before wailing in sheer heartbreak. The convoy starts moving fast. He packs up and starts his motorized tricycle. After days of travel, the gas is low. If he cannot find gas tomorrow, he might have to switch to manual power. The motorized tricycle jolts to a start, while behind him, the grandmother and grandson are still crying and throwing tantrums. No one steps forward. Even the woman boxing yesterday keeps her head down, realizing there is no benefit. The pair slowly get up, casting venomous glances at him. When he Looks back, she pretends to look elsewhere. When he looks at the child, the boy shivers in fear and avoids his eyes. It is already early November, and the weather is turning cold. Riding the motorized tricycle, he feels the chill on his face. Next supply run, he should gather warm clothing or risk freezing to death in winter. The motorized tricycle also needs modifications: a roof on the cargo bed for an enclosed space, a roof on the front. He never wants to be caught in the rain again like a few days ago. The killing points needed are not small, and the current power is insufficient. If it could be converted to three-wheel or four-wheel drive, that would be better. Thankfully, he has plenty of bolts this time. Once Jiangsu village starts and the massacre begins, he will get a lot of killing points. Although his motorized tricycle is not an off-road or a bus, it is still better than what many others have. The new survivors who joined last night only have one car and two motorcycles. Most have no transport at all, not even a bicycle. The convoy's daily speed is not high, so walkers can keep up. Iron Lion's bus is full again. In Manhwa town, nearly half were lost, but with last night's recruits, the bus is full, and the big guy is soft-hearted. Chuchel and Nana's off-roads did not take in any new people, keeping their three-person setup, while Chen Yi's motorized tricycle has drawn attention. Given his previous attitude, most stay wary. The first day's journey ends. By evening, team leader Chu finds a safe shelter, and a blood moon has risen, dyeing the world a faint crimson. Dinner is plain porridge and pickles thin enough to see a reflection in. Many protest. Chuchel answers simply, anyone unsatisfied can leave at any time. Meanwhile, Chinyi still cooks for himself, even though his cooking is not particularly good. Many salivate over his plate, with large pieces of cured meat, large portions of rice. Not far away, a pair of resentful eyes occasionally looks over. Whenever he looks back, those faces look nonchalant. He frowns. Besides the grandmother and grandson, he should not have offended anyone else. Who exactly resents him? This is not his imagination. At night, he sleeps in the he sinks into his makeshift bed, a quiet cigarette. The nicotine helps. It has been forever since his last shower. He has almost forgotten how hot water feels on his bare skin. If he could find a place to wash up, it would be pure heaven. Before the apocalypse, he bathed daily. Now his skin is caked in grime. Before he can sleep, his uncle arrives with a message from Chu Chi. He has been summoned to a meeting and follows him to the largest tent. Inside, Chu Chi, the young girl Nana, and others are already waiting. Even the massive Iron Lion is there, his severed arm completely healed. That tightened sequence of his grants him some insane regenerative abilities. Iron Lion pats the empty seat next to him with a goofy grin. Ever since he shot that desperate arrow in Manhwa Town, the giant has liked him. They exchange brief greetings, and then the meeting officially gets underway. Chu Chi pours him a warm cup of tea before dropping some troubling news. One of the new survivors, a woman named Seo Jiao, is causing trouble. She was an online blogger before, and now she is stirring up drama. She has already gathered a dozen followers in the camp, plotting something shady. Chu Chi speaks calmly, as if discussing some trivial, everyday issue. His gentle smile never fades, but Nana is visibly annoyed. She cannot believe people are still playing games during a literal apocalypse. She sighs that the world has changed, then asks him and Iron Lion for their thoughts. Iron Lion just scratches his head, saying he will follow whatever they decide. Nana rolls her eyes at that, turning to him instead. He just chuckles, dismissive. They are mere clowns. None of them would survive a day without superpowers. Then he asks Chu Chi if there is something else they should be discussing. He downs his tea in one gulp. Finding real tea these days is a miracle. Since it is so rare, he always makes sure to drink every single drop he can get. The other two clearly had the same idea, as their cups are totally bone dry. Chu Chi pretends not to notice, even though his own tea supply is running dangerously low. He agrees and mentions they should reach Jiangsu village by tomorrow morning. He called them all here specifically to talk over tomorrow's risky strategy. Everyone tenses up. Those old villages have turned into deadly forbidden zones. One wrong move means death. Just look at Manhwa Town. They lost half their convoy there. Chu Chi pulls out a radio. As Chu Chi fiddles with the old device, our protagonist is completely confused. Why bring this out now? Jiangsu village is a death trap. An eavesdropping radio, serial number 01257. She describes it as a wondrous item, basically an apocalyptic magic weapon. These special items possess truly incredible abilities. She looks anxiously at the device, explaining how magical it really is. He asks if the serial number represents some kind of official power ranking. She nods, explaining that the top 100 items possess unreal powers. Their leader's radio is ranked outside the top 1,000, but it is still highly valuable. He will see its power soon. Still, a cold unease washes over him. The apocalypse only started a few months ago, yet over 1,000 of these exist. Who created this ranking list? Nana looks only 17. How does she know so much? Before Chen Yi can think any further, Chu Chi looks up. Static crackles. A radio announcer welcomes the group to the Fairness Convoy channel, sharing the current. Time is 8:35 p.m. on November 5, 2030. Fairness Convoy is the name. It is Chen Yi's first time hearing the group's name. The announcer mentions Jiangsu Village. The settlement lies 10 kilometers ahead, and the broadcast introduces it. There are 17 such villages across the land, but this particular one remains largely forgotten. The village got its name from an elder who reached 127 years of age. If it were a well-known location, they would never dare use it as a supply hub. The broadcaster acts like a real briefing guide. This artifact is truly remarkable. But why name it the eavesdropping radio, according to the report on air? The place used to house 357 villagers across 112 households. 3 months ago, a strange, terrifying anomaly broke out, and everyone perished. Not a single resident survived. Silence follows this grim report. Over 300 lives completely wiped out. Such tragedies are far too common now. Most cities have less than 1% of their population left. He now understands why Chu Chi revealed the eavesdropping radio. The item gathers vital intel. The device announces that Jiangsu Village still holds relatively intact resources. Under the massive willow tree in the center, a local supermarket houses plentiful goods, making it their primary target. Grain reserves also fill the chief cellar, serving as a backup point. Scattered homes contain leftover food supplies, and the well at the entrance remains completely clean. The signal breaks into static before returning to announce over 100 anomalies lurk inside, factoring in the team's current fighting power. The danger ranking is triple S. Barging in without this knowledge would be suicidal. Wasting time in a zone overrun by monsters is a death sentence. All this time, Chu Chi's tense expression keeps Chen Yi on edge. He glares at the machine, looking ready to smash it if it turns hostile. When the broadcast ends, the captain lets out a heavy sigh of relief. He asks Chen Yi if he wants to cooperate or search the ruins alone. Chen Yi quickly chooses teamwork, admitting he is only a low-tier pseudo-sequence transcendent of the mechanic line. Striking out alone would be pure suicide. Lady Luck will not save him twice. Chu Chi then proposes 30% for himself and Nana, with 20% each going to Chen Yi and Iron Lion. The leader is vital, but Nana deserves her share, as Chen Yi learns. She is a formidable sword immortal sequence combatant, a master, whose raw martial prowess actually eclipses even Iron Lion's. Chen Yi accepts his split since his mechanic skills are strictly for support. Next comes the strategy. During the raid, Chu Chi will stay behind, leaving the infiltration to Nana, Iron Lion, and Chen Yi. They will raid the market under the giant willow tree before cleaning out the chief cellar. Just as they finish planning, Chu Chi's voice crackles through the radio. The device begins to broadcast his private grumblings about how Nana acts like a mischievous monkey despite her delicate looks. He calls her tomboyish, saying nobody would want her before the fall, and as for Iron Lion, he calls him a big fool who lacks common sense. He says the cost of the Titan sequence is decreased intelligence, but being this stupid is truly bizarre. Stupid is truly bizarre. He complains that the new guy is ill-tempered and a bit gloomy, adding that he has no idea what the guy thinks about all day. He claims this newcomer was definitely bad news before the world ended, even hitting old people and children. He even wonders what kind of oddballs he has on his team. He even criticizes the famous star Ju Ran, saying she looked good on TV, but in real life is just average. Now Chen Yi finally understands why Chu Ko looked so nervous when handling that device. It turns out the eavesdropping radio does not just eavesdrop on targets, it spies on the holder too, and Chu Ko really did not realize his own words were being recorded. Then, when everyone is most relaxed, the device broadcasts his secrets, leaving the entire camp in dead silence. Panicking, Chu Ko grabs a piece of clothing to muffle the sound. But it is completely useless. He looks at the group, and for the first time, a deeply awkward look cracks his usually calm expression. So, the leader called Chen Yi ill-tempered, gloomy, and a bad person. Meanwhile, Nana's face turns dark as she demands to know if those insults were aimed at her. Iron Lion looks utterly insulted, protesting that although his Titan sequence lacks brains, it is definitely not stupid or bizarre. He demands to know if Chu Ko has a conscience. The leader's mouth twitches, and just as he tries to explain himself, he sees the furious sword Immortal start to draw her gleaming blade. By the time the leader leaves the tent, he has twin shiners. Nana shoves Iron Lion and Chen Yi aside, stomping out in a fury. Chen Yi gives the beaten leader a smug look before walking away. Soon, the convoy rolls out, led by Chu Ko's vehicle, followed by Nana, Chen Yi, and Iron Lion. They are moving much faster today, pushing hard to reach the next village. And the massive convoy stretches out like a long, winding snake. At the rear are the walkers, some loaded down with gear while others have nothing. Every time Chen Yi looks back, he feels a pair of hostile eyes watching him. But there is nothing there. After a while, he ignores it and lights a cigarette. The radio's warning about the Titan sequence having a cost keeps playing in his mind. If that is true, does every single sequence demand a heavy toll? What did Nana pay for her sword Immortal powers, and what was Chu Ko's price for his loose lips? Besides, while that eavesdropping radio is highly effective at gathering intel on the destination, it also caused Chu Ko an absolute social death in public. Clearly, even powerful artifacts have dangerous side effects. Does every magical item carry a catch? Chen Yi notes this down. His grasp on these powers has grown rapidly over the last 2 days, and every detail is vital. Steering the heavy vehicle with one hand, he flicks away the butt and lights up another cigarette. He is a heavy smoker, with plenty of stock left from the last town, having no reason to hoard. But then his fuel gauge hits rock bottom, just as loud shouting erupts from the crowd. A settlement is right ahead, a scene that feels intensely familiar. This is the exact reaction they had at the first town. Chu Ko's ride suddenly speeds up and Nana follows. Chen Yi twists the throttle of his trike, but the dry tank only sputters, while the heavy bus roars right past him. It drives past, leaving him behind, and he can see Iron Lion's simple smiling face inside. Then the other 2 vehicles catch up. After days of trekking, all their supplies are gone. He arrives at the village entrance after everyone else, and the sight makes him freeze. A cold chill runs down his spine. All the survivors, regardless of gender or age, stand there. They stand at the entrance with absolute fear in their eyes, yet also a strange eagerness. It is bright midday, the sun is high, yet the village remains gloomy, as if sunlight cannot enter. It is technically the same world, but Jiangsu village feels like it is in another dimension. A hint of deep solemnity crosses his face. Why does this place feel so incredibly terrifying? It is even worse than Hunghwa town. Joe Soso tells his sister he feels a chill. A shiver emanates from his heart, and he looks down at the thick goosebumps on his hand. He mutters that maybe they should not go in. His sister Ju Ran feels the exact same. Just looking at the gloomy village makes her feel intensely uncomfortable. But they are completely out of supplies. This morning they only shared 1 packet of noodles. They do not have much gasoline left either. Jiangsu village is their absolute last hope. If they do not collect supplies today, they will not survive the week. He leaves the grim thought unfinished. She's not lying. Everything he says is completely true. Without fuel, only death awaits, yet they still have to try. They still have to try, and she unconsciously looks over at our main character. No matter what, he is still a sequence transcendent. If he protects them, they might survive. Their chances of escaping safely would be much higher, but these siblings already crossed the line. They offended him beyond repair. Team leader Chu, wearing dark sunglasses, steps forward. Holding a megaphone, he announces the time is 11 in the morning. Everyone must be out of the village before 4 in the afternoon. No waiting for latecomers. Faces twist with terror and hesitation, while others stare fiercely inside. Standing near the back, he spots an incredibly tall willow tree in the village center. Its abnormally large, drooping branches look like a woman's disheveled hair. His eyes narrow slightly. Suddenly, a figure appears at the entrance. It is a hunchback leaning on a walking stick, slowly turning toward the group. Because of his hunched back, he seems to exert an immense amount of effort. The old man suddenly chuckles, a laugh so eerie it sends shivers down their spines. That is an actual person. Someone is standing right at the village entrance. Are there seriously still living people here? The survivors begin to whisper in sheer disbelief. In a cursed zone where no one should exist, a living person just appeared. And an old one at that. Honestly, this whole scene is incredibly unsettling, no matter how you look at it. He turns to Nana. The young sword immortal looks unusually solemn right now. She whispers that the emergency radio broadcast said there are 0 living people here. The hunchbacked old figure slowly turns and walks step by step back into the village. He vanishes with every step. The survivors look at each other in dead silence. For a moment, it is eerily quiet. Iron Lion tells him in a muffled voice to stick close. The big man strides directly into the village. Our hero grips his crossbow tightly. He follows the giant, ignoring the sudden change in how the fool addresses him. A simple quiver sits at his waist, filled with bolts soaked in black dog blood. On his back is a massive backpack, taken off the bicycle and carried by hand now. Iron Lion has countless empty bags of various sizes hanging off his massive frame. The roads in this village are too narrow for vehicles, meaning everything must be carried. Traveling on foot, the massive willow tree standing at the center does not look so distant, so Jin Yeop follows the big fool, keeping a sharp eye on everything, the young sword. Immortal walks with a large pack, keeping her right hand on her weapon and her long legs pacing in a strange, steady rhythm. Before long, other survivors follow right behind them. Leading the rear is the same greedy old man who caused trouble back in Manhwa Town. Most of this group consists of younger people with barely any seniors, yet somehow this old man is still kicking. Standing at the village entrance, the survivors exchange tense glances. Their eyes locked in a desperate struggle between greed and sheer hesitation. Jiangsu village clearly has deep issues, meaning entering is a massive gamble, but staying out means starving. Without crucial resources, in this dark wasteland, supplies mean life. Jo Sos carries a heavy bundle and hastens her pace, urging her sister that sticking together is much safer. Ju Ran hesitates but keeps up. She starts to speak, but a companion interrupts her and tells her to stop overthinking, arguing that if things truly go south, he doubts Jin Yeop would just leave them to die. Even if Jin Yeop does nothing, the other two won't stand by, especially since she is a famous star. Ju Ran, however, is not as optimistic, silently watching Jin Yeop with a deeply conflicted gaze. Nearby, a grandmother tells her young grandson to be brave, promising she will scavenge some food while he waits outside, but the crying child tightly clutches her leg and begs her not to go. She gently scolds the boy, asking who will feed him if she doesn't take this risk, pointing out that in these cruel times, no one else is going to show them any mercy. This troublesome duo happens to be the same pair Jin Yeop disciplined earlier. Somehow, they have not perished or starved on the long road, which is nothing short of a miracle. Over time, the convoy has learned exactly who they are. The spoiled brat constantly steals and spits at those who refuse him, while his grandmother always defends him with the same old excuse that he is only a child. This has thoroughly disgusted the survivors, leaving the pair completely isolated. Now, the old woman can only rely on her own hands to feed her precious grandbaby, telling him to hold on to a dark promise. If she never returns, she wants him to view every single person here as a cold-blooded killer. Once he becomes a man, he must seek bloody vengeance for her death, blaming the selfish crowd for leaving them to starve. She tells him to target one man above all, Jin Yeop. He must lock that hated face in his mind. As the boy wails, team leader Chu, standing a short distance away, sighs and throws a heavy blanket over their listening device. Every single sound in the camp is picked up by that hidden transmitter, prompting him to mutter that wicked souls never find peace. Nearby, a woman with a round face and a sharp chin keeps her head low, her long hair hiding her eyes and leaving her thoughts completely unreadable. Clearly, not everyone possesses the bravery to enter. Over half of the travelers remain waiting at the threshold, largely composed of women. Yet, if those who enter bring back food, they will secure a much better position within the camp. Chu Chaio has no interest in banning this. Everything here is a calculated deal. Jin Yeop lights up a cigarette to calm his fraying nerves. This is far from his first time stepping into a cursed zone, but despite his experience, his chest still tightens with dread, with the smoke clenched firmly between his teeth. A deadly crossbow in hand and a kai blade at his waist, he takes his first step forward and goosebumps instantly cover his arms. The warm daylight suddenly shifts, feeling like the dead of night. Though the sun remains high in the heavens, a heavy layer of dark haze seems to shroud it. The boundary is clear. Inside the village and outside of it are two entirely separate realms. The young sword immortal grips her hilt and warns him to stay extremely alert, as things are about to. He asks her what a ghost domain actually is, and she explains that it is a special domain formed by a sinister power where, even in broad daylight, the chance of supernatural events is much higher. Hearing this, his face instantly darkens. Honghua town never had a ghost domain, so why does Jiangsu village? Is this place just way more dangerous? Seriously, this place is deeply unsettling. He feels something lurking in the dark, staring at him, but looking closely reveals nothing, only a gloomy, pitch-black expanse, and the creepy hunchbacked old puppet has vanished. Already, survivors are starting to eye the two houses near the entrance. Both tiny mud brick buildings look like they have been abandoned for ages. Their doors are so rotted they could easily swing open. Two survivors clutching steel pipes tiptoe inside, desperately hoping to find some leftover rice. Flour a massive fortune in their current state, pushing the door open, a dark, ominous opening appears. The two swallow hard, exchange a quick look, and walk side by side into the house, their legs visibly trembling. He notices them too, knowing their target is the massive willow tree, not these rundown homes. He watches the two step inside and then absolutely nothing. The house behaves like a gaping more of a colossal beast, swallowing them up without making a sound. A guy wearing glasses cannot take the overwhelming pressure. He bolts back toward the entrance. Ju ran and Ju Sasa watch him flee, stepping forward with their hearts pounding hard. The sudden disappearance of those two does not slow them down. Neither Nana nor he stops. The deeper they venture, the heavier the pressure feels on the survivors. A chilling sense of dread hangs in the air. Abandoned houses line both sides, many with doors left wide open, their interiors pitch black. A few survivors follow closely, while others hesitate. Pushing deeper might not bring more supplies, but it is certainly more dangerous, and exploring the houses carries its own lethal risks. Among the remaining followers, Ju Ran and Zio remain steady. Suddenly his footsteps halt, eyes narrowing as he raises his crossbow. Iron Lion and Nana instantly do the same. Up ahead stands the hunchbacked old puppet. Instead of looking like an old man, he looks more like a wooden string puppet, with jerky mechanical movements and expressions. He says, "They have arrived." His voice sounds incredibly eerie, as if he has been waiting for them, and the terrified survivors cower behind them. He asks the creature if he belongs to this village. He only chuckles eerily without answering, whispering that he knows they are here for supplies, pointing out a small supermarket right beneath the giant willow tree, packed with endless supplies. He tells them to just keep following this straight road to reach the Great Willow Tree Supermarket, where they will find plenty of delicious food, so much of it. He turns slowly to leave, and his stiff movements look exactly like some pre-written code, making his scalp tingle. But wait, he suddenly hears a faint call begging for help. The sound drifting close and then far away. Suddenly his expression completely shifts and he asks Iron Lion if he heard it. Iron Lion's expression is also terrible. He nods, confirming he heard a desperate cry for help coming directly from inside that creepy old puppet. Nana warns that there is something wrong with him. Without a second thought, he raises his crossbow and aims straight at the hunchbacked puppet. Thanks to his constant practice, his aim is sharp, and the black dog blood bolt strikes the target squarely in the forehead. A trace of green smoke rises, and a flicker of pain passes across his face. Relieved, his heart fills with joy. The bolt actually worked. A system prompt flashes right in front of him, confirming he dealt. He damages the hunchbacked old puppet, gaining 100 kill points before he can even rejoice. The monster glares at him venomously, yanking the crossbow bolt from its forehead. Then, tossing it aside, the arrow barely did any damage to it. Black dog blood might be useful, but its power is way too limited here. Nothing like what hit the white-dressed scissor woman back in Hunghwa Town, where Iron Lion's brute force delivered most of the damage. Suddenly, Nana yells to attack as her blade becomes a blazing streak of light, slicing toward the hunchbacked puppet. Iron Lion's moves are slower, but he charges like a human bulldozer, radiating a terrifying, raw physical aura. While Chenyi pulls his bowstring back to load another deadly bolt, Nana's blade slices the hunchbacked puppet cleanly in half, but before the shivering survivors can celebrate, they notice no blood coming from either severed half. Instead, both pieces, like agile monkeys, bounce around to dodge Iron Lion's heavy fists. They scramble up rooftop and vanish into the night. A chilling, mournful wail echoes from the fleeing hunchbacked puppet, crying out to save him, save him. That voice is incredibly spine-chilling. Nana quickly grabs Iron Lion to stop him from chasing, telling the big Guy to cool his head because gathering supplies comes first. This chaotic clash happened in a flash, leaving the remaining survivors completely frozen, a few of them even feel a warm, wet sensation down their pants, faced with these supernatural terrors. Absolute terror always takes over. One survivor shrieks that he cannot go any further and bolts back toward the village entrance. Two others instantly follow him. Chenyi glances at the Ju siblings trailing closely behind but says nothing. The famous star, Ju Ran, looks regretful, silently pleading with him before quickly hiding it. Zio lowers her head to avoid his eyes. The trio remains completely silent, staring toward the giant willow tree as they walk ahead. The heavy air is suffocating. The entire village is dead quiet. In this ghost realm, walking feels like wading through thick fog in another dimension. Suddenly, a horrified shriek pierces the silence from behind. Ajay is gone. The three of them turn to see a disheveled girl crying out. Girl weeping because her companion is missing. Ajay was literally just standing there. Now she collapses, sobbing her heart out. Her wails sound hollow, and Chenyi frowns. They haven't even reached the supermarket, yet everything is already falling apart. This village is far deadlier than Honghua town. Ju Ran, filled with pity, kneels to comfort her, suggesting that maybe Ajay just headed back. But Zio's face only shows cold impatience. The girl shakes her head frantically, her long hair thrashing around like wild snakes. She refuses to leave without her companion. Before anyone can stop her, she bolts back toward the village entrance. Ju Ran lunges to grab her but catches only empty air. They watch her run. Every single survivor here has already lost someone in this unforgiving apocalypse. Maybe none of them will make it out of this village alive today. Heavy weight presses down on their chests. Chenyi lights a cigarette to calm his nerves, sensing that something is deeply wrong here. He just can't pinpoint it. Exhaling a slow puff, he suddenly asks a chilling question. Did anyone in the convoy recognize that girl from before? No one cares, but Ju So instinctively snaps back, trying to argue just because she wants to oppose him. But as she searches her own mind, she freezes in sudden horror. She cannot recall the girl's name. In fact, she has never even seen her before. The expressions on the faces around her slowly change. She stiffens her neck, asking how she could be sure she did not see a girl with hair so long that no one could see her face. Her voice softens as she speaks. Jin Yeop sneers, looking toward the spot where the girl disappeared, and slowly points out this is Jiangsu village. For a strange girl to appear in such a place and follow them, does she not think there is something wrong? Zio is about to retort, but Ju Ran pulls her back. Zio swallows her frustration. Jin Yeop glances indifferently at the young boy, or rather, the young girl who is clearly disguising herself as a boy to mingle with the convoy. Jin Yeop is well aware of her motives but chooses not to expose her. It is not because he has a good temper. It is because few humans are left. If they run into danger, using her as a shield would make a great shield. At that moment, the young sword immortal looks around and urges everyone to gather supplies quickly and leave Jiangsu village before 4 in the afternoon. The group suppresses their growing unease and continues toward the giant willow tree. Seeing it from afar, they only thought it was large, but up close, they realize how truly massive it is, and it would take 3 people holding hands just to encircle the trunk. A tree this monstrous was rare even before the apocalypse. The survivors whisper, wondering if the willow has turned into some kind of spirit. Such a massive tree would have been worth a fortune once, though it is worthless now. Iron Lion, Nana, and Jin Yeop quicken their pace, although the other survivors do not understand why these powerful fighters came here. Following them is clearly their safest option. Finally, Iron Lion turns the corner first and completely freezes. Nana's eyes narrow as she asks what happened. The big man swallows hard, his voice hoarse, telling her to come see. She steps forward and rounds the bend. As soon as she witnesses the full view of the giant willow, her body stiffens, and she trembles uncontrollably, as though looking at the face of pure terror. Jin Yeop feels a terrible premonition. The young sword immortal is their absolute strongest fighter, far outclassing even Iron Lion. What could possibly terrify them like this? Jin Yeop raises his crossbow and slows his pace. The survivors behind him look terrified and slow down as well. He asks what they saw. Nana slowly turns to him, her pupils fully dilated with sheer, raw horror, as if she witnessed something unforgettable. She whispers for him to come see. Jin Yeop frowns. What could possibly be wrong? They do not seem to have been Tact, after a moment, he cautiously moves closer toward the small supermarket under the willow tree. His eyes slowly round the corner, and the view ahead finally opens up. Under a heavy, dim sky, the sun seems strangely distant. In the center of the village lies a massive square, and right in the middle stands a colossally massive willow, completely filling his entire field of vision. Endless strands of weeping green branches drape from the sky. Normally, a majestic willow tree like this would be a stunning scenic view, especially on a bright afternoon, but not here, not with what hangs from those thick green branches. Dozens of lifeless human bodies on every single weeping stem hangs a corpse, men, women, the elderly, and children, like some sick, mutated fruit harvested by this colossal monster, swaying silently in the breeze. Counting at least 100 or 200 bodies, each one hangs silently from a willow branch. There is no wind, no movement. He finally understands why Iron Lion and Nana stood there completely dumbfounded, because he wears the exact same expression. He swallows, his body trembling and throat dry. He cannot utter a single word, his eyes twitching uncontrollably. Honestly, this scene is more chilling than any terrifying horror movie. What on earth happened here, and what is this massive, towering willow tree? Why are all those people hanging? Endless dread and dark mysteries surge through his mind. Then a low whimper sounds from behind. His entire body stiffens as he turns to see Jo Ran and Ju So So, the sisters, tightly covering their mouths. They cannot make a sound. The group of terrified survivors behind them wear the same pale expressions, eyes wide and tearful. He takes a deep drag from the cigarette at his lips, his teeth biting down hard on the filter. A tiny orange glow illuminates the chaos. He whispers that absolutely no one should look, because finding supplies is all that matters now. Beneath the massive willow tree sits a small shack with a wooden sign reading Great Willow Tree Supermarket. Right next to it is an open door, and he warns them to be extremely careful not to disturb anything. Iron Lion's massive frame cautiously creeps toward the market. Nana grips her sword like a nimble cat while he raises his crossbow. His cigarette has already burned down to the filter, but he completely forgot to toss it. The survivors behind him are still frozen with fear, but they grit their teeth and follow. Finally, the group reaches the small supermarket and slips inside. Iron Lion and Nana immediately click on their flashlights, instantly illuminating the space. It is just an ordinary, quiet, small town shop. Right by the entrance sits a row of glass counters, behind which stands a long row of shelves packed with everything, cigarettes and liquor occupy over half the space, and to the right are rows upon rows of shelves. Compared to other village shops, this place actually has quite a decent-sized layout. Seeing all these supplies, everyone's eyes light up. An old woman hiding behind the others completely forgets her pain. Her blurry eyes suddenly clear up, and her face fills with pure greed. This is that grandmother from the earlier conflict, knowing that tailing the Transcendence would yield some precious loot. She quietly tagged along, staying dead silent and minimizing her presence. Outside the supermarket, get this, a sudden cold wind begins to blow, swaying the bodies against the willow branches. Inside, the store is reasonably well stocked, not just with instant noodles and drinks. On the lowest shelves, they find plenty of rice, flour, and cooking oil. For desperate survivors, those are by far the most scarce item. There's also a solid stash of tobacco and alcohol in the glass cabinet. He sweeps the cigarettes into his bag without a second thought, though the quantity is much smaller than back at Hung Gua Town. He packs a few cartons, then grabs other vital supplies. Rice first, then flour. Light snacks like chips take up too much space and are useless. He brought 2 backpacks, long, wearing one on his back and another on his chest. The larger pack weighs dozens of pounds when full, while the smaller front one keeps his arms free. Since this is just a tiny village shop, there are not many high-end items, but local mountain goods are everywhere. They even find lots of. He sweeps up cured meats and fish, not even thinking twice about bagging them. Suddenly, a withered old arm snatches the food directly out of his hand with shocking, aggressive speed. Looking up, he locks eyes with a glaring face he recognizes immediately from before. It is the annoying grandmother he had previously taught a very painful lesson. His gaze turns ice cold. Without a single word, he draws his heavy chopper. He aims to strike. In this crisis, every second counts and talking is useless. She originally wanted to make a scene and fight him for the valuable food. But the instant she recognizes him, all her aggressive fighting spirit completely vanishes. Seeing the heavy blade, she trembles in fear. quickly pulling her wrinkled hand back. She shoots him a resentful look before scurrying away. Nana witnesses the entire exchange. She gives him an approving nod before immediately going back to her own looting. That brief clash was seen by many, making the onlookers even more terrified of him. Nana is not wasting any time either, carrying a backpack that towers over her. It is already half full, still she moves effortlessly. Her strength is incredible, perfectly fitting a sequence 2-sword immortal transcendent. As for Iron Lion, the guy is practically a walking, heavy-duty supply depot. Seeing his bizarre gathering method up close for the first time is absolutely shocking. He is carrying an enormous bag that could hold 3 grown men with ease. Clearly, this giant pack is custom-made for looting as much as possible. The big guy grabs literally whatever he sees, completely abandoning any pickiness. Spicy snacks, instant noodles, and sausages are all swept inside in seconds. A 20-pound bag of rice looks like a tiny bag of chips in his grasp. Everyone is busy working in an absolute frenzy, eyes gleaming with sheer desperation. Many bags are already overflowing, but the survivors are still not satisfied. They stuff their pockets and arms, making him sigh inwardly at their mindless greed. This place is highly dangerous, and carrying this much weight will make escape impossible. Even the greedy old woman from earlier is trying to copy his style now. She has one bag strapped to her front and another onto her back. Both of her massive packs are already filled up to 80% capacity. However, the crushing weight has pinned her to the ground, unable to stand. As for the celebrity sisters, the former big star has completely lost her pride. Her main backpack is stuffed full, and her extra handbag is half loaded. Meanwhile, her sister Zio has barely managed to fill half her bag. Though this store is quite large for a rural area, it cannot survive. The desperate crowd completely empties the shelves in a matter of mere minutes. Not even a single bottle of seasoning remains, completely cleared out by the mob. Everyone has secured some loot, but one survivor grumbles with disappointment. He complains that his pack could hold more, but another quickly shuts him down. Finding this much in a small town store is already a massive win. Someone suggests searching for a warehouse, while others scoff at the idea. After all, Iron Lion's ridiculous, oversized pack is only half full. Nana's bag is 70% loaded, and she still has an extra pack left. She taps her backpack. This small harvest is incredibly disappointing. Iron Lion scratches his head, muttering that he has plenty of carrying capacity. He asks if they should raid the village chief's house next, making him hesitate. Heading back empty-handed isn't an option, so the 3 of them briefly huddle up. They decide to check out the village chief's house, a massive, imposing villa nearby. It stands proud just down the road, right near the local neighborhood supermarket. But hearing that the 3 superhumans are heading to the chief's mansion, several survivors who already have enough food start grumbling in protest. They urge them not to go, warning that this village feels completely wrong. They think it is safer to just retreat, but the slower scavengers disagree. Empty-handed and annoyed, they argue that anyone who wants to leave should just go. Besides, the brave Zhu sisters are definitely staying with the main group. Taking big risks is exactly how they survived in the convoy for so long. As a shouting match brews, Nana steps in and snaps at the bickering crowd. She asks if they have already forgot the absolute nightmare waiting right outside. Just outside the store, hundreds of bodies hang silently from the massive willow. With the crowd silenced, Nana coldly tells them to head back alone if they want. They should remember the path they took, while the rest are welcome to follow. Obey orders if you follow, or do not expect any help. With that final warning, she confidently strides out on her long legs. The countless hanging bodies at the entrance look like a silent, staring audience. They watch the group's every move. Nana announces it is already 1:46 p.m. They have barely over 2 hours to grab supplies before they must evacuate. If they do not leave before 4 o'clock, they will be trapped here forever. Her face is tense as she stares at her wrist. Time is slipping away. They had arrived just after 11, and now more than 2 hours have vanished. A heavy sense of urgency starts to settle over Chenyi as they leave. Stepping out into the shadow of that creepy willow tree kills any lingering relief. Fear and dread immediately return to the survivors, even the mighty Iron Lion. Looks tense as they all hold their breath, tiptoeing past the monster tree. Chenyi quietly swallows, his knuckles turning white as he grips his crossbow. But when his eyes drift up to those hanging corpses, his heart stops. Something is off. When they first arrived, those heads weren't facing this way. Now they are staring. Shaking it off, he focuses on their main goal. They need to grab what they can and get out. Then, a scream. It is a sharp, blood-curdling shriek echoing from somewhere, incredibly close by. Blood drains from everyone's faces. Zio's eyes widen as she recognizes it. As she starts to speak, Chen Yi coldly tells her to shut up and move. Her pupils shrink in absolute terror. Unlike Chen Yi, she actually knows most of the survivors in this convoy and gets along with them. Hearing a familiar voice scream in agony makes her blood run cold. Thankfully, his harsh snap is enough to force her back to reality. The team quickly hustles away from the massive willow tree until they are safe. Only then does Chen Yi let out a breath, instinctively glancing behind him. He clearly recalls there being one more person trailing behind them when they left. But as he scans the line, his chest suddenly tightens with dread. There is absolutely nobody behind him. Instead, he finds Zio staring with absolute terror. Her eyes are wide with utter horror, staring right at his back, you. As she stammers, a cold chill shoots straight to Chen Yi's head. He lunges forward. A couple of steps, his crossbow aimed behind him. Even Iron Lion and Nana brace for impact, yet nothing lurks behind them except that massive, corpse-draped willow tree. Look over there, she trembles. That is little Jiang, and she is right. It is indeed him. Zio points a shaking finger toward the tree. Following her gaze, they spot a fresh body hanging under the great willow. A dead body here is nothing new, but when everyone finally gets a clear look, their hearts collectively skip a beat. Chen Yi's pupils shrink to tiny pinpricks. The hanging man is one of the survivors who just entered the supermarket with them. Though Chen Yi did not know him well, he recognizes the face immediately. This guy was literally walking right behind him just a few moments ago. Now his corpse hangs there, still wearing his heavily stuffed backpack. It has been less than 60 seconds, yet he is already just another dead body. Even a hardened fighter like Chen Yi feels a sudden, deep chill. That massive willow tree definitely harbors some kind of supernatural terror. How did he get hung up there without making a single sound? Honestly, it is pure nightmare fuel. Without another word, Chen Yi turns on his heel and keeps moving, refusing to linger. Try to save him, don't be ridiculous. This isn't day one of the apocalypse. Even in a world overrun by supernatural horrors, fear still rules human hearts. Nobody is going to risk their lives for someone who died moments ago. The group speeds up. Right now, Chen Yi's urge to grow stronger reaches its peak. With 3,000 killing points, he can easily exchange for an awakening method. In this brutal new reality, unlocking a sequence is the only way to survive. Even Nana looks deeply troubled, as an active transcendent of the sword immortal class. Her advanced senses are incredibly sharp, yet even she missed the danger completely. She has absolutely no idea how that poor survivor ended up on the branch. The entire village seems draped in a thick, suffocating layer of gray ash. Outside, the sun shines bright, but inside, everything is pitch black and gloomy. Two different worlds exist here as they quickly leave the supermarket behind. Panicked, one survivor suddenly claims he has enough loot and wants to leave. He refuses to go any further, scrambling toward the exit of the village. Chen Yi notices that the man's backpack is barely even half full. Another coward follows him. Chen Yi, Nana, and Iron Lion stay dead silent. They watch indifferently. Ju Ran and Zio are tempted to run too. This village is far more dangerous than Humgwa Town. One wrong step means death. But as the two sisters glance down at their meager stash of supplies, they hesitate. What they have gathered so far won't even last them a few days. They swap tense looks, their eyes filled with absolute panic and indecision. Let us just stick with them, Zio whispers. It is safer than going alone. Ju Ran does not respond immediately, her face tight with worry. Finding the village chief's house in this small place is simple enough. All they need to do is search for the largest property around. Fortunately, the details from the radio broadcast help point them in the right direction. They finally pull up in front of an incredibly grand estate. It features 3 floors and massive floor-to-ceiling windows. They arrive at a massive yard with a black car, but the place looks completely deserted. Vines crawl up the cold walls. The giant floor-to-ceiling windows should be bright with sunshine, but right now they are pitch black. A thick gray dimness hangs over them, oozing an unsettling sense of dread. It feels like some unseen beast is lurking behind the glass, watching them. Most people would run from a place this creepy, but not them. They trade quiet glances, fatigue and dread weighing heavy in their eyes. This village is far deadlier than Manhwa town. And this is just the start, he mutters to step inside, warning them time is running short. Flicking his cigarette ash, he leads the way. Behind him, Iron Lion hauls a massive backpack. The big man strides into the yard in silence, while Nana follows closely behind. Her ponytail sways as she moves, and our protagonist takes one last deep drag. He raises his crossbow and steps inside. Just then, Jo-ran freezes near the entrance. She spots a hunched figure moving surprisingly fast, slipping past her and her sister. That hunched shadow tails him, asking if he knows how to respect his elders. Spotting the exact same annoying old woman, Zio gets angry enough to curse. But Jo-ran quickly holds her sister back, signaling that now is not the time. Zio holds her tongue, swallowing her massive frustration for the moment. They enter the village chief's house, which is far grander than any nearby home. The inside is pure luxury, showing off the owner's wealth before the world ended. A massive European leather sofa dominates the living room with a heavy marble coffee table. Before the apocalypse, this setup would have cost an absolute fortune. Now flashlights cut through the dark. Nana tells everyone to search the area. She warns them to call out if they find food, because time is rapidly wasting. Their first stop is the kitchen, a massive space easily 20 square meters wide. They quickly uncover some flour and rice, along with 2 bags of noodles. A few other ingredients turn up, a decent haul, but still not enough. The radio broadcast claimed the village chief had plenty of survival supplies. But if this small pile is all they can find, it is not going to last. So they keep searching, sending a few people to clear the upper floors. Unfortunately, the second and third floors yield absolutely nothing useful. The second floor just has a pool table, a row of dusty couches, and 2 bedrooms. Upstairs on the third floor, there is only a tea room, still no trace of food. Just useless mountains of designer clothes and luxury bags. Before the fall, these were worth millions. Now, nobody cares about luxury. To a starving survivor, a designer bag is not worth a single slice of bread. Our protagonist rummages through a wardrobe and spots an expensive electronic watch. It was a popular model that used to cost $7,000 or $8,000. He never would have bought it back then. Nana looks at it with slight regret. She mentions she had one, but without electricity, it is just useless metal. With a shrug, he calls it a souvenir of the old world and pockets it. If he can trade with Chu Chayo for a solar charger, it might work again. In this dying world, you never throw away anything that might have a use. Coming back downstairs empty-handed, they see the clock now reads 2:30 p.m. They only have 90 minutes left before they must escape this cursed village. Determined not to give up, they keep searching. Suddenly, a surprised shout rings out. A young man in glasses holding a steel pipe excitedly points toward a open trapdoor by the stairs, a deep, dark hole. Opening a hidden basement, Nana instantly flashes to his side, shining her flashlight. Into the dark void below. Why would the local chief have a basement? Someone wonders, another scoffs, pointing out luxury villas have them. Could the village chief have stockpiled all the supplies right down here? But who will actually go down first? No one dares, which makes Chen Yi frown. There is definitely something hidden below. Nana leaps right in without a word. Her flashlight beam bouncing around. Soon, Jin Yeop calls out in shock, telling Iron Lion that the cellar is completely packed with potatoes. Excitement washes over the crowd. The young student decides to check it out. Leaping down without a second thought, Zio tells her sister to watch. From above then leaps down, others follow immediately, even. The old grandmother leaps down, moving as nimbly as a young person. In this harsh apocalypse, supplies mean survival. Chen Yi and Iron Lion guard. The entrance above, Nana shouts that they will bag the food to hand them up. A heavy backpack stuffed with potatoes is soon handed up to them. Iron Lion catches it easily with one hand. Ju-ran helps too, little Zio says. Thank you to Iron Lion. Meanwhile, Chen Yi stands guard with his crossbow. A single drop of cold sweat slowly rolling down his temple, all the way to his chin. Dripping onto the floor, in his reflection, a hunched figure appears. The main entrance smiling eerily at the group. Suddenly, swoosh. Chen Yi fires his crossbow. Iron Lion instantly tenses and spins around. Searching for a threat but finding nothing, Ju-ran anxiously asks what he saw. Her face filled with terror, Chen Yi replies that it is nothing, but urges them to hurry. He has a terrible feeling about this place. Iron Lion finds nothing out of the ordinary and mutters a brief complaint. Still, they speed up, hauling the giant sacks out even faster now. The tense expression on the face of Chen Yi remains. Suddenly, his system flashes a notification. He dealt damage to the hunchbacked old puppet, earning 100 kill points. The massive stash of supplies inside the cellar completely exceeds all their expectations. Suggesting the wise village chief prepared early, reports filter up. The cellar is loaded with potatoes, sweet potatoes, and canned goods. He quickly realizes how valuable that little device really is. Without that little gadget, locating this massive stockpile of food would have taken days. Muffled cheers of joy rise from the basement. Up top, the young student calls out to Aunt Jo, urging her to hurry up quickly. Hearing this, Chen Yi finally learns the grandmother has the surname Jo. She quickly yells back, telling the young man that they need just a little more time. This kid Bach is only about 20, looking like a college student. He still has a bright gaze, untouched by this harsh wasteland. Surprisingly, it was little Bach who actually stumbled upon the hidden cellar. Though most survivors shunned the old family, young Bach treated them kindly. The others finally climbed back up, preparing to move out. A short while ago, their packs were mostly empty. Now they are absolutely bulging. Everyone wears a satisfied smile. To make room, some even dumped out their snacks, packing sweet potatoes and bags of rice flour instead. Others stripped off their shirts to bundle up extra food, clutching them tightly. Iron Lion's massive backpack is stuffed to the brim, and he bears it like a small mountain. The Jew sisters are loaded, with Ju Ran holding a bag on her chest, another on her back, and even more in her hands. Zio is carrying just as much. Meanwhile, Nana and Chen Yi travel light, keeping only the essentials. Time is running out, he warns. Nana checks her watch, and her expression quickly tenses. They have only 40 minutes before 4 o'clock. They must get out, move, she orders. Only Chen Yi looks around cautiously. Everything has gone way too smoothly, leaving him with an incredibly bad feeling. It feels like a massive terror is waiting, hearing they are about to leave. She calls out in panic, begging them to wait, but only the student Zio Ba pays any attention. With his help, she scrambles up to the surface. When Chen Yi sees her loot, he freezes. In absolute shock, the woman is literally covered head to toe in packages. Beside her massive backpack, she clutches huge bundles in both hands, with another hanging heavily from her neck. Out of everyone here, this greedy elder has gathered the absolute most. She even looks smug about it. Never underestimate the sheer physical strength of these elders. Unlike exhausted, overworked youth, they seem to possess endless stamina. If you find that hard to believe, just picture elderly crowds fighting for cheap eggs at a sale. Still, dragging this much weight in an apocalypse is an absolute death sentence. Chen Yi ignores her and scans the area. Oddly, the creepy hunchback puppet is nowhere to be found. Let us move, Nana commands, gripping her sword. Iron Lion follows, but his massive pack is so ridiculously wide that he gets wedged in the doorway. He literally breaks the door frame down just to squeeze through. Outside, the courtyard remains silent. The black sedan sits parked. Chen Yi wants to take it, since those parts would perfectly upgrade his tricycle, but his current limits make it impossible. He will have to come back later. The group heads down the path under a dull, hazy sky. Nobody talks, but their overall mood has greatly improved. Only Nana keeps checking her watch, her instincts mirroring his own. It is a deeply unsettling feeling. Usually these runs are desperate struggles for survival. This was far too easy. Suddenly her legs halt. Iron Lion halts behind her, and Chen Yi immediately raises his crossbow. What is it? He asks. We already passed this exact spot, she warns, pointing toward an abandoned, open house. It looks all too familiar. It is where a survivor went inside and vanished. They stare in absolute silence. He lights a cigarette, the small flame reflecting in his eyes as he frowns, even with his poor sense of direction. This path is unmistakable. They are back where they started. Ahead lies the massive willow tree. A shaky voice speaks up, completely paralyzed with terror. Startled, everyone looks up at the towering, monstrous tree looming above. They stand just up ahead. Right past the next corner, they should see the supermarket. The great willow tree should be far behind them, so why is it suddenly in front? Blood drains from every face. We went the wrong way, Nana says, checking her watch. Her small face is deadly serious. They have only 30 minutes left. If they turn back now, they might survive. Everyone glares at the massive tree With mounting dread, they hurry toward the village entrance. The silence is heavy now, all whispering has completely died out. Jo-ran and Zio exchange tense glances, quickening their pace to stay close. In this horrific apocalyptic world, survivors can only find safety near powerful transcendence. Fear grips the crowd, and Jin Yeop can feel the heavy tension. This run is doomed, his grim suspicion is confirmed moments later. The giant tree looms before them again, panic sets in, and tears start flowing. Why is it still here? They walked the other way. Is this a cursed wall? One survivor screams that they had their back to it. Why are they back here? He survived Yuk City just to get trapped in a tiny village. Chaos erupts, wide, panicked eyes lock onto the three-sequence transcendence. Iron Lion swallows hard, his gaze turning incredibly fierce. Damn it, he growls, that tree is playing tricks, let us just chop it down. Normally, Titan-class transcendents do not look any different from ordinary people. But once the fighting starts, they turn completely brutal, fierce, and warlike. Do not rush, Nana warns him. Do not lose your mind before we know what is happening. She turns to Jin Yeop, asking what he thinks. She has no answers left. Time is slipping away. If they remain trapped, they will face certain death. Before they entered, Chu Chil warned them they had to leave before 4 o'clock. According to the rules, if Chu Chil does not see them, he will leave. If the convoy departs without them, they lose their only master pathfinder. Without a guide to avoid the horrors, survival is practically impossible. Jin Yeop takes a deep drag of his cigarette, forcing his racing mind to calm down. He asks how much time remains. Nana tells him they only have 20 minutes. He decides they should try one more time. If that fails, they fight the tree. The group rushes in the opposite direction, walking faster than before. But the towering shape of the great willow tree rises before them once more. Despair fills the crowd. They scream, demanding to know how this is possible. That damn tree is mocking them. One survivor with bloodshot eyes snaps. He glares at Jin Yeop, yelling that turning back should have worked. He calls the transcendents completely useless, demanding to know why they cannot save them. The man screams that he does not want to die here. His voice cracks hysterically. Mad eyes lock onto Jin Yeop, and the man begins stomping toward him. If the transcendents do not get him out right now, he is ready to kill. Jin Yeop stares back coldly, his fingers already tightening around his chi knife. He is more than ready to teach this fool a bloody lesson, then crash. A massive leg brutally kicks the panicked survivor, sending him flying 10 meters. The man plows a deep trench in the dirt, knocked out cold. It is Iron Lion. Even with his heavy pack of supplies, his raw combat power remains completely untouched. Even with his back loaded down with supplies, his actual fighting power doesn't drop at all. That is the power of a sequence transcendent, usually a gentle giant. He coldly tells the crowd he can easily grant any death wishes, his fierce, lion-like eyes scanning the trembling crowd. Every single survivor falls deathly silent. Shivering and avoiding his gaze, he knows Chen Yi is just an auxiliary. Transcendent whose strength lies elsewhere, not in direct combat. That is why the giant stepped in. Nana completely ignores the drama, keeping her sharp eyes locked onto the giant willow tree with a dead serious expression. It is clear they have absolutely no choice but to face that thing. Otherwise, leaving this place alive is out of the question. Iron Lion hungry-eyed licks his lips and declares that the real fight is finally starting, adding that an easy win would just be too boring. It seems every Titan sequence transcendent gets incredibly hyped. At the mere mention of a battle, Chen Yi stays silent, carefully inspecting his upgraded crossbow. This weapon is his ultimate lifeline here. Meanwhile, Iron Lion marches straight toward the massive tree. His eyes burning with battle lust, a wild contrast to the gentle giant from before. Almost as if two entirely different souls share that massive frame, Chen Yi does not try to hold him back. Since the tree blocks their escape, their only option is to destroy it. Iron Lion testing the waters makes sense. Suddenly, Chen Yi spots a distant corpse, which its rigid neck turning slowly toward the big oaf. Iron Lion's bold moves are like a stone dropped in a calm lake. Chen Yi warns him to watch out already. Raising his crossbow, aiming straight at the twitching dead body. Outside the village, the convoy waits. People nervously whisper, asking why no one has returned yet when it is already past 3. With barely half an hour until 4, they wonder what is happening inside this eerie place. Could everyone be dead? That is impossible. They have 3 sequence transcendents. How could they die? But ever since they entered Jiangsu village, not a single person has come out. This is highly abnormal. back in Honghua town, survivors continuously escaped, returning with food and supplies, some early and some a bit later, but since entering Jiangsu village, not a single survivor has emerged. And this eerie silence casts a heavy shadow over their hearts. Even Cho, Call, usually so confident, feels deeply uneasy. The remaining survivors outside stir. Many of them lack the courage to go inside and collect supplies, either due to poor stamina or extreme fear of the supernatural. Instead, they hope to get supplies from others. Once someone returns with a successful haul, these people exchange items of equal value. This is highly common in the convoy. And as long as both sides agree, Chu Zio will not interfere. It is their survival rule, and those entering the village are their ultimate beacon of hope. But since this morning not a single soul has returned, many of them feel deeply unsettled. Chu Zio stares at the village, now swallowed by gray fog. When he first arrived at 11 in the morning, he could still vaguely make out the buildings inside,